Chapter 314. He had to take revenge, but he could not act recklessly. The tombstones around him reminded Yun Songlong of the terrible consequences he had suffered back then. Mimi, what are you doing here? Yuan Bupo had a headache. He had finally gotten rid of Xin Mimi, but he did not expect her to pester him again. I'm here to look for you. Why are you with them? Have you forgotten that Yun Songlong is the enemy of Grand Emperor City? Who was the one who harmed Sister Xiahua? Yun Songlong was stunned by Xin Mimi's words. Hearing Yuan Xiahua's name, he blurted out, "What happened to Xiahua? She's here too?" Yun Songlong, Xiahua is my fiancée. What does her condition have to do with you? Xian Wuji was furious. He thought he had completely destroyed Yun Songlong, but he did not expect Yun Songlong to be standing in front of him. Young city governor, please watch your words. My sister has already broken off the engagement with you. She has nothing to do with you anymore. Yuan Bupo was unhappy with Xian Wuji's words. Although he did not like Yun Songlong, compared to Xian Wuji and Yun Songlong's unruly sister, he found Yun Songlong more pleasing to the eye. In Yuan Bupo's eyes, Xian Wuji, the young city governor, did not have much prestige. In a place like Grand Emperor City, the experts were superior. A young city governor who had his cultivation damaged and could not break through would not be able to do anything. Xian Wuji had never been humiliated like this before. Moreover, it was in front of his archenemy, Yun Songlong. He was instantly enraged. Yuan Bupo, don't think that you can challenge me just because you have talent. If it was not for your engagement with Mimi, I would have dealt with you long ago. As soon as he heard about the marriage agreement, Yuan Bupo was annoyed. He stole a glance at Yun Sheng as if he was possessed. She was looking at him and Xian Mimi with interest. Deal with you? You? Yuan Bupo panicked when Yun Sheng looked at him. What engagement? I did not agree to it. I already have someone in my heart. Xian Mimi's face turned pale when she heard him. Yuan Bupo, what did you say? Don't you know that the city has already decided to let us enter the tomb together? Who is your sweetheart? Is it Lu Xian and her sister from the city? Or is it one of your slutty servant girls? What nonsense are you guessing? Yuan Bupo felt like he was a playboy after being questioned by her like that. He thought for a moment, then suddenly rushed in front of Yun Sheng. He pulled Yun Sheng, who was listening intently, over and pointed at Yun Sheng without hesitation. He said without blushing, the person I like is her. Yuan Bupo played the flute quickly, but his actions were even faster. He grabbed Yun Sheng's hand, and when he touched her hand, he realized that Yun Sheng's hand was very delicate. It was icy cold, completely different from the rough joints of ordinary men. For a moment, she was actually reluctant to let go. Yun Sheng looked like she was watching a good show, but in the next second, she realized that everyone's eyes were focused on her. Yun Sheng wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words when she saw Yuan Bupo's warning look. Him? That's impossible. Yuan Bupo, it's your first time meeting him. How could you like him? Moreover, he's a man. Xian Mimi was so angry that her eyes were wide open. She wanted to rush forward and pull Yun Sheng and Yuan Bupo away. Yun Sheng nodded frantically when she heard what Xian Mimi said. She could not help but agree. That's right. It's our first time meeting. However, Yuan Bupo looked at Yun Sheng affectionately. He used the most affectionate voice he had ever used in his entire life to say, "Haven't you heard of love at first sight? Don't you know that if you like someone, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman? You and I definitely didn't fall in love at first sight." Yun Sheng recalled that she almost had a fight to the death with Yuan Bupo earlier. She could only blame Xian Mimi for coming too late. She only watched the second half but did not see the first half. You. Him. Impossible. You. I'm talking about you. Who are you? Xian Mimi was so angry that she lost her mind. She pointed at Yun Sheng with a furious expression. Me? My name is Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng knew that Yuan Bupo was using her as a shield. Initially, she wanted to deny it. However, when she saw the Xian siblings' constipated faces, she felt happy from the bottom of her heart. She decided not to admit it or deny it. She forced herself to play along with Yuan Bupo. Yun Sheng? Another Yun who dares to steal my man. Xian Mimi raised her brows. A guqin appeared in her hand all of a sudden. The guqin's color was simple and it emitted a powerful energy wave. Xin Mimi leaving Imperial Grand City this time was originally for the sake of traveling. In order to persuade her to leave Grand Emperor City with him, Xin Wuji used a famous guqin as a gift to buy a saint-grade guqin for her. With this guqin, Xin Mimi's Dihong song would be much more powerful. Yuan Bupo did not expect that his momentary interest would drag Yun Shang into danger. It's the 7th guqin. Xin Mimi, come at me if you have anything. Don't hurt her. Yuan Bupo was so anxious that he hid Yun Shang behind him. His unconscious action made Xin Mimi even more jealous. She and Yuan Bupo were childhood sweethearts. Yuan Bupo had always been arrogant due to his extraordinary talent and family background. In Grand Emperor City, even though she was the city lord's beloved daughter, he never looked at her in the eye, let alone ordinary women. However, today, he was very protective of that handsome young man. This made Xin Mimi even more suspicious of their relationship. The situation was tense, and they were on the verge of a fight. Right at this moment, a black shadow was seen flying over like a bolt of lightning. A giant bat descended from the sky. The Zone personality suddenly appeared. Master, I found you. Leader Yun, you're here too. That's great. The Zone personality walked towards the north. However, he did not find Yun Songlong's shadow even after searching for a long time. He knew that he must have gone the wrong way. Hence, he turned back and looked towards the south. After searching for a while, he found a graveyard in front of him. Yun Shang's aura was beside the graveyard. The Zone personality's appearance changed the situation on the battlefield. As soon as the commander-level Bat King appeared, Xin Mimi's 2 demonic birds could not help but cry out in fear. Saint Beast Summoner? Yuan Bupo and Xin Wuji also recognized this sorcerer who looked to be in his early 30s. However, his summoning abilities were shocking. He was a Saint Beast Summoner. Moreover, this person even addressed the handsome young man as master. Chapter 315. Xin Wuji thought to himself, isn't he from the Yun family? The Yun family is a family of martial artists. How did they manage to recruit such a powerful sacred beast summoner? Even in a place like the Grand Emperor City, there were only 2 sacred beast summoners under the governor. Yuan Bupo would definitely not help them. Yun Songlong's power had already recovered. With the addition of a sacred beast summoner and a commander-level demonic beast, his power was not inferior to theirs. Mimi, let's forget about what happened today. Xin Wuji was not stupid. He was not willing to take the risk. Xin Mimi's face was filled with unwillingness, but she could also see that the power behind Yunsheng was not small. The siblings sat on the Choming bird resentfully and left together. Yuan Bupo heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that both of them had left. He did not know which side he should help if the siblings from the Xin family and the Yun family were to get into a conflict. Although he did not like Yun Songlong, his nephew, Yuan Bupo thought to himself. Suddenly, he felt someone glaring at him. Do you have any sense of shame? How can you hold my mistress's hand? When the Oriole woke up, she saw her mistress being held by the man playing the flute. She immediately snatched Yun Sheng away like a mother hen protecting her chick. Yuan Bupo coughed a few times. A rare look of shyness appeared on his face. Thank you for what you did just now. You don't have to thank me. It was nothing. However, I have a question for you. Was what Xin Wuji said earlier true? Yuan Shahua is your sister. She did not marry Xin Wuji. Where is she now? Yun Songlong's expression changed when he heard Yun Sheng's question. Yun Sheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. She looked at her second uncle and saw that he had no intention of asking any questions. Why are you asking this? Even if my sister did not marry Xin Wuji, she would never marry your uncle. He's not worthy of my sister. When Yuan Bupo heard his sister's name, he thought about his sister's current miserable state. She could not return to the Grand Emperor City and did not leave the house in her middle age. He was furious. He glanced at Yun Sheng, then turned around and left. Yun Songlong was also unhappy. He turned and left, leaving Yun Sheng, the Oriole, and the confused Zong behind. Sai, let's go back to the town first. It will take some time for the both of them to be resolved. Wait a minute. Was what Yuan Bupo said earlier true? Yunsheng also understood that there were some things that she could not solve alone. However, the situation just now allowed her to see some clues. Her second uncle might Yun Songlong thought Yun Songlong to the Yun family. However, Yun Shang was able to tell that Yuan Bupo was filled with resentment towards Yun Songlong. If Yuan Shahua had truly betrayed Yun Songlong back then, he would definitely not behave in such a manner. There must be some misunderstanding. However, since Yuan Bupo appeared at the border, it meant that Yuan Shahua was probably nearby. Yun Sheng planned to find out where the Yuan siblings were after settling the Purple Gold Mine incident. She wanted to resolve the conflict between her second uncle and her future sister-in-law. Master, when I was following them, I discovered something. The Zone persona had coincidentally passed by an abandoned village when he was chasing towards the north. Oh, what did you discover? That village looked like it was abandoned not long ago. The situation inside was the same as the one in Liuzi's village that we met earlier. There were some Zhou state soldiers guarding the entrance of the village. I walked around the village when they were not paying attention and discovered the aura of a demonic beast. The Zong master was a summoner and was very sensitive to the aura of demonic beasts. Aura of demonic beasts. Are you sure? Yun Sheng immediately felt that something was amiss. The Zhou state border was the border of 3 countries. However, due to the commoners gathering there, it was almost impossible to discover demonic beasts. Needless to say, demonic beasts would form groups and enter the commoners' village. The Zong master narrowed his eyes. The Zong master said, there were no traces of demonic beasts outside the village. However, there were some footprints of demonic beasts inside the village. He and Yun Sheng looked at each other. Both of them looked at the Bat King perched at the side at the same time. Anyone with experience in rearing flying demonic beasts would know that those were traces left by flying demonic beasts. In other words, the group of bandits who had wreaked havoc in the village and left no traces behind were most likely riding on flying demonic beasts. Yun Sheng and the Zong master returned to the town together. Yun Sheng and the Zong master returned to the town. Yun Songlong had already returned to the town. The moment Yun Sheng entered the door, she saw the youth named Luzi kneeling in front of Yun Songlong, refusing to get up. Luzi woke up in the evening, just as Yun Sheng had expected. However, after he woke up, he did not say a word. No matter how Zhou Quan and the rest asked, he did not speak. Until Yun Songlong returned. Luzi did not say a word when he saw Yun Songlong. He climbed down from the bed and kowtowed to him a few times. Luzi, get up first. Why are you kneeling to me for no reason? You must know that a man should not kneel to the heavens, the earth, and his parents. Yun Songlong hurriedly helped him up. Luzi's face was full of sincerity. No, sir, please accept Luzi's kowtow. I beg you. Take me as your disciple. Good lad. Yun Sheng could not help but sigh inwardly. Luzi did not pick anyone but Yun Songlong. Luzi thought. In fact, among all the people present, only Yun Songlong met Luzi's standards. He was a warrior and a martial arts grandmaster. In the entire Zhou state, he looked down on everyone. Yun Songlong looked at Luzi on the ground with a complicated gaze. He was a martial arts grandmaster. According to the Boundless Land, once a warrior reached the martial arts grandmaster realm, he could already open a martial arts dojo and take in disciples. He was a general in his early years and naturally could not take in disciples. But now that he had resigned and was already middle-aged, it was reasonable for him to find a suitable disciple to inherit his mantle. But the youth in front of him, Yun Songlong's judgment was not inferior to Yun Sheng's. He could tell at a glance that the youth's aptitude was very ordinary. It was not the best choice to take in such a person as his eldest disciple. Luzi guessed Yun Songlong's thoughts when he saw Yun Songlong's hesitation. Dong dong dong. He kowtowed to Yun Songlong a few times. Dong dong. Dong dong. His forehead immediately bled. Luzi said firmly, Luzi knows that I'm not talented and stupid, but I'm a hard-working person. As long as Sir is willing to take Luzi in, Luzi is willing to work 12 hours a day without sleep and rest. Luzi will work hard and not disgrace Sir's reputation. He did not know Yun Songlong's identity. Based on a youth's intuition, he believed that Yun Songlong was the most suitable person to be his master. He shouldered the lives of his parents and the lives of an entire village. No matter how hard Luzi was, he was willing to bear it. Chapter 316. Yun Shang could vaguely see herself in that youth. When she was 6 years old, everyone thought that she couldn't cultivate magic. However, she persevered and eventually became a sorcerer. Now, Yun Shang had two great resources, the tribute of the moon god and the blood of the blood cloud beast. As long as the other party had perseverance, she was confident that she could nurture them into a sorcerer or a warrior. For example, Yun Shang had selected a few people from the Sky Hunting Corps and used the tribute of the moon god to improve their magic perception. Second uncle, accept him. For a warrior, 30% talent and 70% hard work. He is an honest person. In terms of talent, I can help him refine his bones. Yun Shang admired people with perseverance the most. She had decided on this young man called Luzi and would give him a helping hand no matter what. After receiving Yun Shang's promise, Yun Songlong decided to accept Luzi as his disciple. Get up. You are still young, and I need to discuss it with your parents. Yun Songlong was cautious and asked about Luzi's family situation. When Luzi heard Yun Songlong mention his parents, he fell silent. Hey kid, just say it. Don't be afraid. If you have any difficulties, just say it. With our Sky Hunting Corps around, no matter how difficult it is, we will solve it for you. Zhou Quan was anxious. They had asked about Luzi's background earlier, but this kid was like a gourd with its mouth cut off. He didn't say a word for a long time. You are from Jinko village, right? Just now, the waiter in the restaurant told you about the village. Don't be afraid. If you have any problems, just say it. If there is anything, my second uncle will take care of it. Yun Shang and Luzi were about the same age, so she kindly asked Luzi. It could be seen that Luzi was afraid that if he told the truth, he would implicate Yun Shang and the others. Luzi looked at Yun Shang. He didn't know why, but this young master in front of him, who was dressed luxuriously, made him feel a sense of intimacy. He bit his lip and told Yun Songlong about what had happened in his village a few days ago. Did you see the faces of those robbers again? Yun Songlong frowned when he heard that. The villagers of several villages had gone missing, and there were no blood cloud beasts in the vicinity. Yet, the guards did not conduct a thorough investigation. There was something wrong with such military discipline. I was in the cellar and didn't see the enemy's face clearly, but I know who took the villagers and my parents away. Luzi's words surprised everyone. Everyone who knew about the disappearance of the villagers said that the identity of the robbers was unknown and their whereabouts were unknown. But Luzi said that he knew the origin of the robbers? How did you know? Yun Songlong asked. This is a long story. What I'm going to say today is something that could cost me my life. I beg you, regardless of whether you can save my parents or not, you can't spread this matter. Luzi believed that these people in front of him were trustworthy people. After receiving everyone's encouraging gazes, he slowly unbuttoned his shirt and took out a piece of animal skin that was as thin as a piece of paper near his chest. On the animal skin, there was a map drawn with special beast blood. Luzi told everyone that this map was a map of a purple gold mine that was discovered in Zhou State, later Qin, and Tangyuan a few years ago. This map is real. Where did you get it? There were too many versions of the map of the purple gold mine, and no one dared to believe that the map in front of them was authentic. Luzi was too young, and this made everyone doubt the authenticity of the map. It was left behind by my father. I'm not happy that everyone said that my father was one of the people who discovered the purple gold mine in his early years. At that time, it was him and several hunters from other villages who discovered the purple gold mine. There were a total of 8 of them. At that time, they followed a level 4 magical beast and broke into the area. A few years ago, Luzi was only 5 or 6 years old. What he knew was what his mother told him later. Luzi's father was a famous marksman in Jinko village. When they were hunting magical beasts, they saw a few beautiful stones. At that time, no one knew that it was the priceless purple gold mine. Luzi's father casually brought a few pieces home for Luzi to play with. Later, When Luzi was playing, he was accidentally seen by the village chief and found out that it was the precious purple gold mine. After the discovery of the mine, he immediately reported it to Jade Capital, but at the same time, the news was leaked. Later Qin, Tang Yuan, and even the military of Zhou State sent people to ask about it. Not long after, the war that shook the three countries happened. After the three countries signed the armistice agreement, they were summoned by the military and led a group of soldiers into the mountains. However, in the mountains, a group of soldiers from another country suddenly appeared. The two sides fought, and unexpectedly, the whole group was wiped out. Even the hunters who knew about it were killed. Lu Zi's father was also seriously injured, but he was lucky. After he was injured, he faked his death and escaped the massacre. He hid in the mountains for 2 or 3 days before escaping back to his original village. After that incident, Lu Zi's father brought Lu Zi's mother and Lu Zi out of Yunbin's village and lived in seclusion in Jinko village. They lived there for 7 to 8 years. They thought that the matter of the purple gold mine would be buried forever with the tragic deaths of the hunters. Who knew that a few years later, robbers would rob the village? Liu Zi, what you mean is that you suspect that those people captured the nearby villagers because of the purple gold mine. Then why did they capture the whole village, and a few villages at that? Not only did Yun Sheng not understand, but Yun Songlong also did not believe it. Because they needed manpower to dig the mine, and they couldn't use the military or openly recruit people in town. In the name of robbers, they captured all the villagers. This was the safest and most reliable way. Lu Zi had been hiding with his parents since he was young, so he was more sensitive than others of his age. After he crawled out of the cellar, the first thing he did was to find the map that his father had hidden in the house. He climbed mountains and waded through rivers, and found the location of the purple gold mine. He secretly hid in the area for a while, and indeed, he found a large number of mysterious people moving around the purple gold mine. He also found some familiar faces among the miners who were digging. Lu Zi's whereabouts were discovered by the people patrolling the mine one day. He hurriedly escaped, but in the process of escaping, he was shot in the back by the enemy, and there were many bite marks on his body from the magical beasts of the enemy. Those mysterious people were very powerful. They were heavily guarded around the mine, and there were a large number of land magical beasts and flying magical beasts patrolling the area. If they were not careful, they would be discovered by the other party. Lu Zi's eyes were not sharp, and he did not know the strength of the other party, but he was sure that there were no less than 1,000 of them. Hearing Lu Zi's words, Yun Sheng and the rest could also confirm the authenticity of the map. After Yun Songlong heard this, he pondered for a moment. This matter was much more difficult than he thought. Before they set off, the hunting corps' mission was only to find the location of the purple gold mine. What do you all think about this matter? After Yun Songlong comforted Lu Zi, he found a few corps members of the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps, and everyone started to discuss. Chapter 317. Although he was the leader, he had just become a hunter not long ago. He still needed to seek advice from others, especially from an experienced person like the Zone personality. They were here under the orders of the Emperor of Zhou State. Although it was a mission, it was actually an order. If they could not complete it, they would be implicated. From the perspective of a mission, they had already completed their mission. The map of the purple gold mine had been found, and it was done without losing a single soldier. It could be considered perfect. As long as they brought the map back to the Jade Capital, they would be able to report back. However, if they handed it over, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Emperor of Zhou State, Yi Qingtian, would definitely order the army to snatch the purple gold mine. In that case, whether or not they could snatch the mine back was another matter. That group of mysterious bandits would definitely kill the villagers they captured in order to silence them. Yun Songlong and the rest did not want to see such an outcome. Moreover, even if they brought the news back to the Jade Capital, it would take almost a month for them to come and go. By then, the mine would have been emptied. This old man thinks that we should just kill our way to that mine. Whatever magical beasts or bandits, there'll be nothing in front of this old man, the Zone personality said boldly. He was a holy beast summoner, so he really didn't care about ordinary enemies. How about this, Zone personality, let your Bat Sun and Bat Sun go to the mine area to check out the situation. After confirming the number of people on the other side, we can make a decision. Yunsheng also felt that they should not hand over the map for the time being. The pressure of the dragon-clawed Bat King was too frightening. In order to avoid alerting the group of mysterious people, Yunsheng asked the Zone personality to keep the dragon-clawed Bat King in the magical beast space. The Zone personality could control some low-level bats through the Bat King. Taking advantage of the night, he released a few bats. On the morning of the second day, the bats brought back some news. After communicating with the bat for a while, the Zone personality's expression became serious. "Master, things are not looking good." The Zone personality scratched his head. He originally thought that as long as he had his own magical beasts, he would not have to fear the mysterious people. However, the bats discovered that there were many lightning explosion magic arrays in the mine area. The lightning explosion magic array was no ordinary magic array. It was drawn using the lightning magic element with astonishing power. This kind of magic array was mostly used for mining in mountainous areas, and its power was enough to split mountains and split the earth. It was also used in some large-scale battles. As long as it was properly arranged and the opponent did not have any magicians present, it could be used to launch a sneak attack on the enemy on the battlefield. Furthermore, the mining area worked day and night. From the mining area, corpses were transported out one after another. There were both men and women, and there were even many corpses of children who were a few years old. Even Yun Songlong, who was used to seeing life and death on the battlefield, couldn't help but become angry after hearing the Zone personality's words. These mysterious people were too inhumane. Not only that, according to Bat's reaction, there were sorcerers, warriors, and a few summoners among the group of mysterious people. Such a well-disciplined force with a clear division of labor had obviously been carefully planned. I can only gather this much information. The bats also don't dare to enter the mining area. If they activate the lightning explosion magic array, even my Dragon Claw Bat King would be blown to pieces. The Zone personality couldn't help but rejoice. He had listened to Yunsheng's suggestion yesterday and didn't rashly send his Dragon Claw Bat King into the mining area. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Hearing Master Zong's words, not to mention us, even if the army personally went, I'm afraid it would be difficult to break in. If the other party is forced into a corner, I'm afraid they would activate the lightning explosion magic array. The villagers inside would most likely die. Yun Songlong muttered, "Why don't we sneak in? Since it's difficult to break in from the outside, why don't we think of a way from the inside?" Yunsheng suddenly suggested, "Break in from the inside? No, that's too dangerous. Moreover, our group is too obvious a target." The people from the sky hunting group were all soldiers. Although they were now hunters, their temperament and actions were clear. It was impossible for the other party to not notice. "We don't need too many people, just a few will do. Me, Huang Ke, and Lu Zi are still young. Our Do Chi and magic fluctuations aren't obvious, so we're the best candidates. Lu Zi has also been to the mine before, so he has a better understanding of the situation." Yunsheng was very curious about the lightning explosion magic array in the mine. Yunsheng had already asked Lu Zi about the details. The plundering of the villagers had happened in the past half a month. According to the map of the mine, the purple gold mine spanned about 1 li and was several meters deep. The other party definitely wanted to plunder enough people and finish excavating the mine before Zhou State or other countries discovered it. From the casualties in the mine, there were people dying every day. Those mysterious people were bound to plunder the villagers again. The villages near southern Cliff Town, especially the 2 villages close to Jinko village, were the most likely targets. It's too dangerous. The other party has more than 1,000 people, and there's no lack of powerful magicians and warriors among them. Yun Songlong was very unwilling to let Yunsheng become a suspect. He would rather sneak in himself. However, Yunsheng's words weren't without reason. There really weren't any more suitable candidates around. His elder brother's life was uncertain, so he had the obligation to take good care of Sheng-er. "Second uncle, if we don't act quickly, the 1,000 or so villagers who have been robbed will definitely die. Moreover, I'm a famous doctor. If I sneak in, I can minimize the casualties to the greatest extent. Even if we can't save the villagers, We can buy some time for you to come up with a more reliable solution. Yuan Sheng also didn't take a step back. Yun Songlong's heart was heavy at the thought of more than 1,000 villagers dying. Not good, General. Just as Yun Songlong was hesitating, Zhou Quan walked in. Last night, another village's villagers disappeared. There were more than 200 people in the village, and not a single one was left. Second uncle, we can't let the tragedy of the Yun army happen again. Yun Sheng's words were like a sharp arrow that pierced Yun Songlong's heart. He finally made up his mind. Shang, but you have to promise second uncle that you can't blindly stick your head out. You have to inform second uncle about everything first. Knowing that Yun Sheng and the rest were willing to infiltrate the mine, Lu Zi was both happy and worried. However, in the end, he couldn't overcome his worry for his parents and the villagers. That night, he, Yun Sheng, and Huang Ke arrived at a village called Zhou Village near Jinko Village. The hunters of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps were lying in ambush near Zhou Village, carefully monitoring it. In order to keep it a secret, Yun Sheng only told the news to the village chief of Zhou Village. The old village chief was still skeptical at first, but when he heard that the hunting corps that Yun Sheng belonged to was the Yun army, the old village chief immediately dispelled his suspicions. Although Yun Songlong was defeated that year, he fought to the last moment in order to protect the villagers at the border. The kindness of the Yun army and the general's estate was deeply engraved in the hearts of the people at the border. The three of them changed into the village's youth's attire. In order to make things easier, Yun Sheng was still dressed as a youth, and Ke also changed into men's attire. The three of them waited patiently in the village. Thank you Bayu and Aishang for your tips. Regarding updates, I'm not like some writers who work full-time. I work 6 days a week and only write at night. With the godly doctor's pitiful data, I'm not going to work full-time. Normally, I'll write a steady update to recommend explosive updates. Chapter 318. Even after 5 days, Zhou Village was still peaceful. Just as Yun Sheng was about to lose her patience, that night, Yun Sheng and Huang Ke turned off the lights and rested as usual, while Yun Sheng sat on the Kong bed to meditate. Just after midnight, a bright light flashed in the sky above the village. Yun Sheng opened her eyes and immediately woke Huang Ke and Lu Zi up. In the village, there were cries and barks. Catch everyone inside. Amidst a furious roar, the door of the house where the three of them were in was broken open. Yun Sheng, Huang Ke, and Lu Zi pretended to be trembling in fear. They hid in the house, not daring to move. Several windhounds that were almost a meter tall rushed in. Windhounds were a hybrid magical beast, a mix of wind wolves and wolfhounds. They were the size of calves and had a pair of black wings on their backs. It was obvious that these windhounds had undergone special training. They were all wearing collars with sharp barbs around their necks. A few mysterious people wearing half-masks rushed in. One of them glanced into the house. In the simple house, there were only 3 terrified youths. 3 kids who were so thin that they can't even fill the gaps between my teeth. What kind of lousy village is this? There aren't many people here. Zhou Village was considered a medium-sized village nearby, with more than 500 permanent residents. However, ever since the disappearance of the entire village, the villagers who had a little bit of money in the village had all moved to the town. There were only about 200 villagers left in Zhou Village. Most of them were old, weak, sick and disabled people who could not leave Zhou Village due to their poor families or their weak bodies. These mysterious people who went out to kidnap people were also rewarded based on their contributions. The stronger the villagers were, the longer they could mine. The villagers of Zhou Village were all weak and sickly. If they were brought back, not only would they not be rewarded, they might even be punished by the officers. Yun Sheng pretended to be sobbing, but she was secretly sizing up the mysterious bandits. They were very tall, all of them at least 1.75 meters, and judging from their walking pace and muscles, it was obvious that they had undergone professional training. These people were either soldiers or hunters. But one thing was for sure, these people were not from the great Zhou dynasty. Don't talk so much nonsense. If they're human, then take them back. If they can't hold on and die, then throw them all outside to feed the Fengao dogs. We don't have much food left. One of them looked like the leader of the unknowns. He glared at his talkative subordinate and made a gesture. Several mysterious people on the side grabbed Yunsheng and the other two, who couldn't even speak, and carried them out of the house. After catching the man, they set the house on fire. In the village, thick black smoke billowed everywhere. The villagers were all gathered at the entrance of the village. No one was allowed to open their mouths or beg for mercy. Among them were a few women and children carrying babies. In order to prevent the news from leaking out, no one was left alive in the village. The animals in the village were all treated as rations and chased to one place. Wah-wah, a frightened child began to cry. The woman holding her was so scared that she hurriedly coaxed her, but the child refused to stop crying. The leader of the unknowns glanced over with cold eyes, and a Fengao dog with saliva dripping from its mouth pounced over. "Let go of my child." Seeing the Fengao dog pouncing on her baby, the woman struggled crazily. She was just an ordinary woman. How could she be a match for a rank 5 windhound? After a terrible swallowing sound, the baby's crying stopped. Yunsheng saw this and clenched her hands tightly, her nails piercing into her palms. She couldn't make a move. The anger in her heart was like a stormy sea, making it difficult for Yunsheng to calm down. If she made a move at this time, their plan would be ruined. More than 1,000 lives in the purple gold mine. Yunsheng took a few deep breaths, and her hand firmly grasped the Oriole's hand. Tonight, this cruel scene was deeply engraved in their minds. 2 adults to a ride, 3 children to a ride. Take away all the animals. The leader was indifferent to the death of the baby. After he confirmed that there were no more living people in the village, he commanded his subordinates to chase everyone onto the Fengao dog. In just half an hour, Zhou village turned into a sea of fire. Yunsheng, Oriole, and Lu Zi sat on the back of a Fengao dog. The Fengao dog quickly rose into the air, and soon Zhou village was left behind. It was the first time Oriole and Lu Zi came into contact with flying magical beasts, and they were so scared that they looked nervous. Those mysterious people, after leaving the ground, also let down their guard. In their eyes, these captured villagers were all ordinary people, and when they were in the air, they weren't afraid that they would cause trouble. Don't be afraid. These are trained magical beasts, just treated as riding horses. Seeing that the mysterious people had let down their guard, Yunsheng quietly placed her palm on the head of the Fengao dog under her. A subtle magic power went deep into the head of the Fengao dog, and a trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the Fengao dog, which was then replaced by confusion, and after a while, the confusion turned into docility. The Fengao dog's flying ability was more powerful than that of an ordinary eagle, and with its huge body, it was most suitable for transporting people and animals. Yunsheng observed the Southern Cross in the south of the sky, and silently calculated the flight time. After flying for about 2 hours, the night gradually dispersed, and when the red clouds of dawn appeared, the mysterious people and the Fengao dogs landed on an inconspicuous mountain ridge with their prey. This mountain ridge was no different from the mountain ridge that Yunsheng and the rest had passed by when they came. However, if one took a closer look, they would discover that this seemingly lush forest, which was full of life, revealed traces of murderous intent. Between the leaves and the rocks, there was a large number of arrows with amazing attack power, as well as some rocket arrays that emitted fire magical elements. As long as there was an intruder, the ambush of arrows and the rocket arrays would be activated in an instant, and the intruder would be shot into a hornet's nest. There were dense tropical trees and flowers all around, and the Fengao dogs under them landed steadily on the ground. Those mysterious people immediately took out some magical beast meat and fed it to the Fengao dogs. After Yunsheng and the other 2 got off the Fengao dogs, they found that they were already in the mining area. Yunsheng also finally saw the thunder explosion magic array that was reported by the bat of the zone personality earlier. It was a magic array that was branded with a purplish-red mark. The magic array was closed during the day, but when it was nighttime, the magic array would be activated. As long as someone accidentally stepped on the magic array, they would be blasted into ashes by the thunder attribute magic that would spurt out. Its power was not inferior to that of modern landmines and bombs. Chapter 319. The mining area was surrounded by iron fences. Mysterious masked men were either holding magic scepters or armed with weapons, shouting and cursing. Under the morning light, groups of bare-chested strong men walked past Yunshang and the others. They were bound with iron chains and carried dozens of kilograms of purple gold on their backs. The iron chains and heavy crushed their backs into a bloody mess. However, none of them dared to stop and just walked back and forth like machines. Divide the villagers into two groups according to their gender. Bring the old, the young, and those who are unable to work to the livestock shed. Bring the rest to the cave. The mysterious men who brought Yunshang and the others back spoke. They separated the villagers who were captured. Those who were able to work were locked up in the cave and given a certain amount of water and food. They were used to replace the miners who were working hard at any time. The rest of the villagers who were unable to work were directly driven to the livestock shed and locked up together with the livestock they had captured. They would be used as food for the magical beasts in the future. During the time when they were locked up in groups, Yunshang witnessed several carts of corpses being pushed out on carts. There were both men and women among them, and the youngest among them was only 8 or 9 years old. Some of them had their hands smashed by the ore, and some were beaten to death because they resisted or tried to escape. This mine looked lush and leafy from the outside, but in fact, it was a purgatory on earth. When Luzi saw this scene, he bit his lips tightly. He did not know if his parents were still alive. No matter if they were locked up in the cave or sent to the livestock shed, they could not escape death in the end. Yunshang believed that even if there were villagers who were lucky enough to survive in such a harsh environment, once the mine was dug out, these mysterious men would definitely kill all the villagers who survived in order to hide their evil deeds. Damn it! These people were simply devoid of humanity. Seeing the tragic scene, the dark Dharma soul in Yunshang's body seemed to have smelled the scent of blood and became active. For the first time, Yunshang's heart surged with such a strong, murderous intent. She wanted to kill these beasts in front of her. When she realized this, Yunshang couldn't help but be shocked. She had always had excellent self-control, but she discovered that as she delved deeper into dark magic, her murderous heart seemed to have become much heavier. A red light appeared in her eyes. Although Yunshang and the other two were not very old and were not very tall, their bodies were still very sturdy. Thus, they were quickly selected and rushed to the group of people in the cave. The three of you, what are you looking around for? Immediately change your clothes, put on the shackles, and follow the formation. Yunshang lowered her eyes when she heard the mysterious man's command, concealing the murderous intent in her eyes. She slowly circulated the jade marrow technique in her body. As the jade marrow technique circulated in her body, Yunshang felt her killing intent gradually calming down. Her eyes also regained their clarity. Impulse is the devil. No matter the situation, I can't let the killing intent control my heart. Yunshang secretly warned herself. The three of them changed into mining uniforms made of coarse hemp, and their feet were also shackled with 5 kilograms of weight. The three of them were pushed into a long and narrow cave by the mysterious men. At the entrance of the cave, there were 5 or 6 mysterious men guarding it. There were also more than 10 level 6 fire lizards. The security was very tight. The cave was very dark, damp, and moss grew everywhere. On the walls of the cave, there were only a few magic lamps, dimly illuminating the path ahead. This group of mysterious men came suddenly. They hurriedly dug these caves. The conditions here were simple, and the cave was very deep. As Yunshang walked in, she smelled a rotten and moldy smell. Liuzi, when we go in later, first look around and see if there are any people from Jinko village. Ask them about the specific situation here. Yunshang glanced at a corner of the cave, where a few bats were resting. Liuzi nodded. At this moment, his heart was heavier than his shackled feet. He was afraid that after entering the cave, he would hear bad news about his parents. Liuzi, be strong. Oriol, who was also from a poor family, comforted Liuzi in a low voice. He nodded. Liuzi already knew that Yunshang and Oriol were both girls, and that he was the oldest of the three. Before they set off, Yun Songlong had encouraged him. As the only boy among the three, he must protect Yunshang and Oriol. The cave was very long. As they walked down, Yun Sheng's frown deepened. The living environment of the miners was too bad. There was almost no ventilation here. If all the villagers who survived were imprisoned in the cave, it must be very crowded. In a situation where the air was turbid and the population density was high, once there was a disease or death, the airborne germs were enough to make the healthy villagers collapse. Finally, there were voices in front of them. The front of the cave gradually widened. At the bottom was a space about 100 square meters in size. There were 300 to 400 people imprisoned here. Among them were men and women. Those who did not need to enter the mining area during the day could temporarily remove the shackles. Once they left the cave, they had to put on the shackles to prevent them from escaping. You newcomers, listen carefully. Don't even think about escaping, or you will end up like these people. The mysterious people who drove them in waved a whip full of thorns in their hands and slammed it hard on the ground. The hard ground was immediately smashed into pieces. The stone debris flew up and hit the people's bodies, causing burning pain. Their whips were pointed at the wall of the cave. Everyone looked up. Some of the more timid ones were scared to tears on the spot. On the wall, there were several dead bodies hanging. There was a trace of intact bone in these people's bodies. Their faces were beyond recognition. The men were stripped naked, and the women were also bare-chested. The blood on their bodies had dried, leaving only wrinkled skin. They were barely recognizable as human figures. These people were all people who had tried to escape in the past when the guards weren't paying attention and when they were mining. None of them succeeded. After they were captured alive, they ended up like this. Even so, there were still many people who tried to escape every day. After a few warnings, the mysterious people left the cave. Lu Zi resisted the waves of nausea in his throat. He hurriedly looked for his parents in the crowd. Although the chances were small, Lu Zi still hoped that he could find his parents. Most of the villagers who were imprisoned in the cave were thin and sallow, and their lips were dry and cracked. Their eyes were empty. When they saw the newcomers, they did not make any sound. For them, escaping had become an extravagant hope. Their loved ones died one by one, completely destroying their hope. They were probably just walking corpses. Lu Zi looked around the crowd and found a few people from Jinko village. However, no matter how he asked, they did not speak. He was worried that his parents had met with misfortune. Lu Zi, don't ask anymore. Yun Sheng saw that Lu Zi was on the verge of breaking down. She dragged him aside and gave him a few mouthfuls of water. Only then did Lu Zi calm down. At this time, there was a sound of footsteps outside. Yun Sheng and the others looked up. 30 to 40 bare-chested and barefoot miners walked in. They all looked tired. These people were the miners who had finished their mining task today. After they returned to the cave, another group of people was driven out. Father. Lu Zi recognized one of the men. He immediately jumped up and rushed over. Chapter 320. When he heard the familiar voice, a middle-aged man who looked very strong among the dozens of miners raised his head and looked at Yun Sheng and the others blankly. When he saw Lu Zi's face, the man's eyes suddenly widened. That man was Lu Zi's father, who was forcibly taken to the cave more than 10 days ago. The father and son did not expect to meet again in such an environment. The two of them hugged each other excitedly. Lu Zi, it's really you? Why are you here? Why are you so disobedient? Didn't I tell you to stay far away? What are you doing here? Lu Zi's father saw his son and was both sad and happy. He was happy that his son was safe and sound. During this period of time, he had seen countless people from the neighboring villages being captured and brought here. He was also worried about Lu Zi's safety outside. But when they finally had news of their son, he had barged into the tiger's den. Everyone knew that there was no chance of survival after entering this hellish cave. Yun Sheng noticed that Lu Zi's father was the most energetic among these miners. It seemed that he only looked a little tired, and his spirit was very good. This was probably because he had experienced life and death in his early years, so his willpower was much stronger than that of ordinary people. Father, let's not talk about this first. Where's mother? Lu Zi did not see his mother's figure and was terrified. Don't worry, your mother is fine. A few days after we were locked in here, those villains picked a few nimble women in the cave and said that they would cook for them and wash their clothes. Lu Zi's mother was lucky to be chosen and escaped the disaster. After hearing Lu Zi's story, Lu Zi's father calmed down, especially when he heard that Yun Shang and the others were the descendants of the Yun army. His originally dim eyes were filled with a desire to live. They are the descendants of the Yun army. Really? Lu Zi's father said with a friendly look. He stayed in the cave for more than 10 days. Because he was strong and did not escape, the group of mysterious people treated him well. They made him the person who distributed food and water in the cave. Although Lu Zi's father appeared to be yielding, he had never given up observing the activities of these mysterious people. This cave held all the villagers who had been abducted. A large number of people had already entered and exited the cave. At its peak, there were 500 to 600 people. There was only one entrance to the cave. Since there were people guarding the other side of the cave day and night, the mysterious people would guard the cave in batches. There were also ferocious fire lizards patrolling the area. There were some villagers who tried to escape, but they were all caught without exception. Most of the villagers who were caught would be beaten to death. Lu Zi's father had thought of running away earlier, but when he remembered that Lu Zi's mother was still in the hands of those people, he gritted his teeth and persevered. At the same time, Lu Zi's father also mentioned some matters regarding the purple gold mining area. It was unknown where these mysterious people had gotten the map of the mine. They had captured the villagers to mine the mine. Within this purple gold mining area, there was a large amount of purple gold ore. Every day, about 500 kilograms of purple gold ore would be transported out by flying magical beasts. However, Lu Zi's father didn't know where it would be shipped to. "Father, who are those people?" Lu Zi asked. "I don't know, but their leader seems to live in a treehouse not far away. Judging from his accent, he doesn't seem to be from Zhou State." Lu Zi's father shook his head. He went out to mine every day to get some fresh air, and this was all he could find out. With Lu Zi's father's detailed description, Yun Shang roughly outlined the situation of the entire mining area in her mind. The periphery of the mining area was a dense tropical forest area. The mining area was divided into 4 areas: east, west, north, and south. The main mining area of the purple gold vein was in the east. The villagers who were imprisoned in the cave were in the west, and the other soldiers and livestock were in the south. As for the leader of the mysterious people and some powerful magicians, warriors, and summoners, they all lived in the north. In the middle of these 4 areas, there were more than a dozen thunder explosion arrays. Without personally exploring the environment, it was impractical to escape. Yun Shang decided to stay in the mining area for a few days. It would be best if there was a chance to go to the location of the purple gold vein, and then think of a way to escape with the villagers. While they were talking, Yun Shang heard a painful groan. A middle-aged miner who came back with Lu Zi's father earlier fell to the ground. His face was full of sweat, and his stomach was throbbing with pain. "What's the matter?" Yun Shang immediately went forward to check. "It's an old problem. The environment here is too bad. Everyone often has stomach pains and diarrhea. It's fine for us who are stronger, but the young and the women can't stand it." Lu Zi's father sighed. While Yun Shang listened to Lu Zi's father describe the situation in the mining area, she also paid attention to other things in the cave. Just as she found when she entered the cave earlier, the environment here was very bad. Those mysterious people did not treat these villagers as humans at all. Yun Shang checked the drinking water and food of hundreds of villagers every day. The water was turbid yellow muddy water that had not been purified and precipitated at all. There was also a severe shortage of food, and most of it was rancid food. Under such conditions, they still had to mine at a high rate, which undoubtedly greatly increased the mortality rate of the villagers. "Uncle, I'm a doctor. I'll help him stop the pain first. Find a few villagers. I have a few things that I need your help with." Yun Shang rolled up her sleeves. Lu Zi's father looked at Yun Shang suspiciously. The Oriole at the side chimed in. "It's true. Our master is very powerful. She's a famous divine doctor in the Jade Capital." Lu Zi also said that Yun Shang had cured his injuries. Lu Zi's father then hurriedly found a few men from the same village. They followed Yun Shang's instructions and divided the people in the cave into 2 types, the sick and the healthy. The sick were arranged to be in the cave, while the healthy were arranged to be on the outside of the cave, near the ventilation area. The villagers also found some sand and charcoal. According to Yunshang's instructions, they used the sand and charcoal to purify and precipitate their drinking water. Before Yunshang came, she had made a thorough plan. She prepared some herbs, a small amount of food, and some magic beast meat in her storage ring. The herbs and food were given to the sick patients first, while the magic beast meat was divided into portions and distributed to the healthy villagers. These villagers had been half full and half hungry for a long time. When they saw the food, their originally dim eyes instantly lit up. They ignored Luzi's father's arrangement and all rushed forward, trying to snatch the food from Yunshang and the others. Oriole. Yunshang was already prepared. The Oriole did not hesitate and knocked down the few villagers at the front. Yunshang pointed the magic scepter at the wall and shot a fireball. The fireball burned a corpse hanging on the wall into ashes instantly. Yunshang's face was tense. Their actions silenced the noisy villagers. Chapter 321. Everyone, listen carefully. From now on, all of us have to be of one mind. If you are willing to cooperate, I can guarantee that you will be brought out alive to reunite with your families. But if you dare to be disloyal and disobey my orders, I can guarantee that you will die an even uglier death than these corpses. Yunshang was not very old, but at this moment, her body was emitting a terrifying aura that intimidated people. To the ignorant and useless villagers, a leader with absolute authority was very important. Yunshang's actions made every villager present feel fear from the depths of their souls. But along with this fear came a desire to survive. Yunshang's magic and her every word was like a shower of rain, gradually giving hope to these spiritually exhausted villagers. No one dared to make a sound. They followed Luzi's father's instructions and lined up, supporting their families, wives, and friends to receive medicinal herbs and food. In just one night, the order in the cave had undergone a subtle change. And this change was completely unknown to the mysterious people outside the cave. The sun rose and set not long after Yunshang and the others were taken to the mining area. Commander, the people from Zhou village have not been taken away. The people we sent to spy on them followed orders and did not alert the enemy. The other party is a group of masked people, and we can't tell where they came from. They have a large number of flying magical beasts, and they are flying towards the south of southern Cliff Town, near Tangyuan. The night Yunshang and the others were taken away, the hunters of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps who were lying in ambush near Zhou village immediately sent the news back to the inn in southern Cliff Town. Yun Songlong and the others had been anxiously waiting there for a few days. My bats have also followed those magical beasts to the mining area. With Master's intelligence, there shouldn't be any big problems. But Yun Brat, what should we do? For safety reasons, Yunshang ordered the clan members not to follow them. He was several generations older than Yun Songlong and called him Yun Brat. Yun Songlong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I plan to go to Marquis Jiayuan's garrison to take a look. After all, we don't have enough manpower. If we can get the military's help, I believe the chances of rescuing the villagers will be much higher. Yun Songlong was still placing his hopes on the local garrison. He immediately headed to the Marquis of Jiayuan's encampment, but he didn't expect that the other party would give him the cold shoulder. I want to see your general. I am Yun Songlong. I was your general's aide in the early years. Yun Songlong reiterated his identity. The two monkey-like guards glanced at Yun Songlong. One of them rolled his eyes and spat out a mouthful of phlegm. Yun Songlong. Reckless brat, you want to pretend to be the #1 general of Zhou State, the young general of the residents of Yun? Take a piss and look at yourself. If you are Yun Songlong, then I am Zhou State's martial saint, Yun Ba. Yun Songlong's blood immediately rushed to his head. If it weren't for the fact that he had already left the army, he definitely would have dealt with this guard according to military law. He forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. Brother, whether you believe me or not, I really do have something to report to your general. It's about the missing villagers from the nearby villages. When the two guards heard this, their eyes were filled with bewilderment. One of them said, "Wait here for a moment. I will go inside and report to the general." The guard hurriedly entered the garrison's encampment. "General, there is someone outside requesting an audience." This person says he is Yun Songlong. He says he has clues about the missing villagers from the nearby villages. Yun Songlong? What a joke. Yun Songlong is but a cripple. Why would he come to our southern cliff town? He must be a swindler or a spy from an enemy country who wants to infiltrate our army. Men, listen to my orders. Beat that bandit out with military canes. Inside the luxuriously decorated main general's tent, Marquis Jiayuan's nephew, an irony, waved his hand disdainfully. That guard hurriedly lowered his head and accepted the order. General and I, you just sent Yun Songlong out like this. Aren't you afraid that he will barge in? Inside the main general's tent sat a man and woman. The man and woman were dressed exquisitely and had imposing appearances. Upon closer inspection, these two were the siblings of Grand Emperor City, Xian Wuji and Xian Mimi. I've let the two of you see a joke. Who does Yun Songlong think he is? He is but a martial artist who has been stripped of his official position. If he dares to block our path to wealth, I will definitely make him regret ever stepping foot on the land of the border. And Irony's eyes flashed with a greedy light as he spoke. In front of him, there were two large pieces of resplendent purple, or that looked like crystals. Each of the ores weighed 50 caddies. If they were forged into limitless purple gold coins, the value would most likely not be less than 100,000. And Irony was but a fourth-rank general. Even with his uncle, the Marquis of Jiayuan, looking after him, the annual military pay that was docked did not exceed 10,000 gold coins. How could it compare to the rewards that Grand Emperor City and that mysterious group of people gave him? And Irony was naturally happy to be able to exchange a few poor villagers for such a large sum of wealth. Don't worry, the two of you. I will definitely think of a way to cover up the disappearance of the villagers. However, you need to act quickly. Otherwise, if it attracts the covetous eyes of other powers, it will be impossible to hide it. And Irony chuckled. General Anai is really sensible. If the mining of the purple gold vein is successful this time, Grand Emperor City and His Majesty will definitely not treat you unfairly. Xian Wuji despised an Irony's character in his heart, but on the surface, he was full of flattery. The siblings looked at each other, a cruel glint flashing in their eyes. Ever since Yun Shang and the others came to the cave, the villagers' lives had quietly changed. That group of mysterious people would enter the cave in 3 batches every day to escort the miners to mine the purple gold vein. Father Lu secretly arranged for the miners to go out and mine according to Yun Shang's arrangements. Yun Shang stayed in the cave for a few days. Due to the timely purification and isolation of the patients, no one died of illness in the cave in the past few days. The number of people who fell ill again was also greatly reduced. Under the coordination of Father Lu, the people who went to the mining area were all strong and healthy people. As a result, the number of people mining increased every day. Those mysterious people were also very happy. The water and food that was distributed to the cave every day was also better than before. Although the mysterious people did not know what had happened, they were obviously very satisfied with such an improvement. On this day, Yun Shang was thinking about how to enter the purple gold vein and see the situation there. The few of you, follow me out. It's your turn to mine. A few mysterious people walked in and picked out 20 people from the cave. Big brother, can we go to the mining area? He's my uncle, and he's not in good health recently. While the mysterious people were picking people, Yun Shang, Huang Ke, and the others secretly exchanged glances and took the initiative to step forward. Thanks to Sunny and Xiao He for the tips. Chapter 322. You guys are so skinny. Can you do it? Today's task is not easy. The mysterious men glanced at Yun Shang and the others. Seeing that they were just teenagers, they could not help but frown. Masters, these children are not young anymore. Their families do farm work, so they are quite strong. But for the brothers who are sick, even if they go to the mining area, they will only delay the progress. It will not be good if they cause you to be scolded. Lu Zi's father had already figured out the temperament of these mysterious men, so he stepped forward to help them. Are they from the same village as you? Well, later you will keep an eye on them. Don't think of doing anything wrong. Otherwise, cut off their legs. The mysterious men did not recognize Yun Shang and the others, but they were somewhat familiar with Lu Zi's father. Hearing what he said, they reluctantly agreed with Lu Zi's father. But when they saw that Yun Shang and the other two were so skinny, they left the shortest Oriole behind. Then they picked up 20 people, including Lu Zi's father, and took them out together. As soon as they left the cave, they were shackled and chained. In this way, it was much more difficult to escape. Since Yun Shang was brought back to the mining area, it was the first time that she left the cave. As soon as she got out of the cave, the dazzling sunlight made her squint her eyes. Don't look around. Go east. Remember, your task today is to dig up 50 kilograms of purple gold ore. If the amount is not enough, each of you will be whipped 10 times. The mysterious men who supervised them wore masks. Their eyes exposed outside the masks were fierce. They waved the whips in their hands and warned everyone. All the way to the east of the mining area, Yun Shang saw a tunnel. The entrance of the tunnel was very high, more than 10 meters high. It went deep into the ground. This must be the entrance of the mining area. The earlier group of miners was coming out of the entrance. 2 mysterious men were responsible for searching their bodies. What is this? With a fierce shout, a shivering miner was grabbed by the neck by a mysterious man like a chicken. From the miner's pants, a purple ore as thick as a finger rolled out. Yun Shang looked carefully. The ore looked very similar to purple crystal, but it was completely different from purple crystal. This purple ore was mixed with gold. Under the sunlight, the purple and gold colors were very beautiful. That was the most precious ore on the boundless continent, the purple gold Oregon. The most expensive purple gold coin in circulation in the boundless world was the purple gold card, which was made from precious purple gold ore. The purple gold ore's uses were not limited to that. Legend had it that a brilliant blacksmith could refine the purple gold ore into top-grade defensive equipment. However, the amount of purple gold ore in the entire continent was very limited. Therefore, as long as there was a clue to the empire's purple gold ore, all the major countries would frantically send people to search for it. The capital of Zhou State was no exception. A piece of purple gold or the thickness of a finger was equivalent to 5 purple gold coins, which was equivalent to 50 gold coins. To most of the villagers who worked in the mining area, this was a huge fortune that they would never be able to obtain in their lifetime. It was also to prevent the villagers from hiding anything. So no matter if they entered or left the cave, all the villagers would be searched. Yun Shang had also expected this, so she had already hidden her storage ring in a secret place in the cave. That villager who was caught was also greedy, which was why he hid the ore. After he was discovered, he was so scared that he trembled and kept begging for mercy. "Sir, I won't dare to do it again. I was just muddle-headed for a moment." Muddle-headed? Haha, what a muddle-headed person. A cold light flashed in the hands of the mysterious person who found the ore, and he chopped off one of the villager's fingers. That villager was rolling on the ground in pain. When the other villagers saw this, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. No one dared to go forward to help him. If it wasn't for the lack of manpower in the mining area, I would have cut off your head and fed it to the magical beasts. Kicking that villager away, the mysterious person waved his hand and motioned for Yun Shang and the rest to enter. Yun Shang calmly walked over. When Yun Shang walked in with shackles on her legs, one of the mysterious people's eyes flashed under the mask and showed some surprise. Why was she here? After Yun Shang and the rest entered the cave, the leader of the mysterious people ordered the rest of the mysterious people to patrol the area and pay attention to the situation. Biming, I'm not seeing things, right? Wasn't that the little miracle doctor just now? A tall, mysterious person whispered in another person's ear. Although Yun Shang was dressed as a man, she was still recognized at a glance. She was fine in Southern Cliff Town. What did she come here for? She's really messing around. The man's voice was low, and there was some dissatisfaction in his eyes. This little wild cat was really worrisome. She didn't know what method Yi Biming used, but his gray eyes now looked dark brown. Chung Bai's skin was also dyed a beeswax color. They were wearing masks, and their appearance was similar to the other mysterious people in the mining area. If she didn't look carefully, Yun Shang wouldn't be able to tell. In a place like the mining area, there were all kinds of people. She actually dared to come here alone. Where did you and Songlong go? And that's Zone E. Then what should we do? Are we still going to continue with our plan? The tall and straight mysterious men were Yi Baiming and Chengbai in disguise. A few days ago, Yi Baiming, Chengbai, and Bu Jiuxiao had all mixed into this group of mysterious people. This mining area was also the purpose of their trip. Act according to the plan. I know what to do about the little wild cat. Jiuxiao has already found out the origins of these mysterious people. They are most likely related to Tang Yuan. This time, we'll catch a turtle in a jar. Yi Baiming's eyes turned cold. He was determined to get this batch of purple gold ore. How could he allow other countries to get a share of it? Yunsheng didn't know that she and Yi Baiming had boarded a pirate ship. She dragged the heavy shackles and entered the mine. As soon as she entered the mine, she was attracted by the scenery in front of her. Purple gold was indeed worthy of the title of the most beautiful ore on the continent. Whether it was day or night, the mine flickered with a beautiful light like the tail light of a firefly. Purple and gold mixed together to illuminate people's eyes, like a two-colored rainbow. It had to be said that this was an excellent mining area. In the whole mining area, about 4/5 of the area was purple gold ore, and the remaining 1/5 was rough basalt. This was a pure natural mining area. A large amount of purple gold ore was exposed to the ground. The hexagonal crystals of different sizes were of different sizes. Some were only the size of a coin, while others were like pillars that supported the sky, rising from the ground. They grew from the stones on the ground, like towering trees full of vitality. They rose from the sky and reached the top of the cave dozens of meters away. These precious ores also emitted a kind of gauze-like purple mist that lingered above the mine, making the whole mine more beautiful. Every villager who had just entered the mine would be attracted by this strange scene. Don't be dumbfounded. This wealth doesn't belong to us. We can't have evil thoughts. Yunsheng and Lu Zi's dumbfounded expressions made Lu Zi's father shake his head. Most of the villagers who had just entered the mine would show such expressions. But after a day, if they couldn't dig up enough ores, what awaited them was the most cruel whipping. After being reminded by Lu Zi's father, Yunsheng put away her curiosity. Chapter 323. She looked at the mine again. Due to the limited space, dozens of miners were scattered in every corner of the mine. Each of them was given a shovel, a bundle of ropes, and a few bamboo baskets. Although the purple gold ore was beautiful, it was also one of the most difficult ores to collect on the mainland. Unlike ordinary ores, before the purple gold ore was mined, it could not be bombarded with magic, nor could it be excavated by brute force. Otherwise, the whole cave would collapse. It could only be collected by physical means, which was the common sense of manual work. Therefore, even though this group of mysterious people had many mages and warriors, they still chose to capture villagers to collect. Yunsheng and Lu Zi listened and began to collect the purple gold ore. These stones are really hard. Lu Zi waved the shovel. He used a lot of strength to dig out a little bit of the purple gold ore. Although Lu Zi was older than Yunsheng, he had never really learned martial arts. On the other hand, Yunsheng had trained in Wushuan Wuji school for a while, and her strength had improved. However, she soon found that it was very difficult to excavate the purple gold ore with brute force. An hour later, Yunsheng had only excavated about 5 caddies of purple gold ore. Lu Zi was even worse, only about 2 caddies. At this rate, it was unlikely that the two of them would be able to collect 50 caddies of purple gold ore before nightfall. Looking at the other villagers, Lu Zi's father was the one who had excavated the most, about 20 caddies. The other villagers also had about 10 caddies. Due to the large amount of mining some time ago, the ores in sight were almost all collected by the villagers. As for the few pieces of ores that were like pillars supporting the sky, Yunsheng and Lu Zi could not move them at all. Lu Zi, let's go to the north and take a look. Yunsheng pointed to a corner in front of them. The purple gold ore mine was temporarily excavated and extended in all directions. The place where Yunsheng and the others were staying now had the densest distribution of ores, but most of them were almost completely excavated. Don't go too far. If there are not enough ores later, I will share some with you. Lu Zi's father reminded them and buried himself in mining again. Yun Shang and Lu Zi walked to the other end of the mine, which was much more concealed than before. After turning a few corners, Yun Shang soon saw a diamond-shaped purple gold or area. Liu Zi, keep an eye on the surroundings. Yun Shang had Liu Zi keep watch while she stealthily summoned a phantom beast from the Ling Long Beast Tower. Vice Commander, what is this? Seeing this unassuming and ugly beast, Lu Zi was a little surprised. He glanced at Yun Shang and wondered where she had conjured this magic beast from. It's a type of magical beast. Our speed of collecting purple gold ore is not as fast as the other villagers, and we can't use magic. I want to try using this little guy. When Yun Shang had killed the leader of the Shadow Beast Corps, she had obtained a few magical beast belts and a few phantom beasts as an additional reward. This phantom beast was much better at digging than most earth-type magicians. It was an improved version of a pangolin. You mean this thing can mine purple gold, or? Lu Zi was still in disbelief. You will know when you see it. If today's experiment was successful, it would not be as simple as mining purple gold ore. Yun Shang's Ling Long Beast Tower was known as one of the most mysterious treasures in the Boundless Land. Any magical beast that stayed in the Ling Long Beast Tower for a while would either evolve or mutate. Xiao He and the puffed egg were both evolving. This phantom beast did not evolve directly due to its ordinary grade. However, there was a certain mutation in its body. Its shell, which was originally incomparably hard and rock-like, now seemed to be plated with a layer of gold and had mutated into a golden color. It looked like an enlarged version of a scarab. Yun Shang simply called it the Fantasy Gold Beast. 5 sharp and narrow golden claws grew out of its hands and feet. The golden fantasy beast put its claws together to form a natural shovel. It aimed at a piece of purple gold, or that was half buried in the ground, and dug hard with its claws. A cloud of dust rose, and a pile of rock chips quickly piled up beside the purple gold, or that was originally difficult to excavate. A piece of purple gold, or that could be said to be perfect, was completely dug out in 15 minutes. That's amazing. This piece of purple gold ore is at least more than 5 kilograms. Lu Zi's eyes were shining. If not for the golden fantasy beast's ferocious appearance, Lu Zi might have kissed it a few times. It could be expected that with a few more golden fantasy beasts, this extremely rich purple gold or vein could be excavated quickly in a short period of time. You keep watch here first. I'll look around. Yun Shang was very curious about the origin of this purple gold or vein. Her 5 senses were very sharp. As long as someone was within a mile of her, she could quickly detect it. When she entered the purple gold or mine, Yun Shang vaguely felt a strong energy. The reason why she chose to walk north of the mine was that she could vaguely feel that the deeper she went into the mine, the stronger the energy fluctuation became. However, neither the mysterious person nor the villagers focused on mining in this area. The reason was that the amount of purple gold ore in this area was greatly reduced compared to the mine they had entered at the beginning. The purple gold ore exposed on the surface was scattered and very inconspicuous. Yun Shang walked all the way to the bottom of the mine, and there was no more road ahead. Only then did she stop. Yun Shang stood in front of a wall. She knocked on the wall with her hand and found that the wall was very hard. Perhaps because no one had passed by it for many years, a thick layer of moss grew on the wall. However, the color of the moss was fiery red. Yun Shang took out a scalpel and scraped off the layer of moss on the wall. The original color of the wall was revealed. The color seems to be different. Yun Shang found that the color of this wall was completely different from the purple gold ore outside and the basalt on the ground. It was like a red copper ore. The mysterious person had also noticed this red ore before. They only determined that this red ore was an ordinary copper ore. There were many copper ores on the Boundless Land. Moreover, due to the application of magicians and various weapons that were not inferior to iron, copper ores were very cheap. Therefore, the appearance of this red copper ore wall was determined to be the end of this purple gold ore vein. However, Yun Shang did not think that this wall was a copper ore wall. This was because she used the scalpel in her hand to poke at the wall. She found that the blade of the scalpel, which was as hard as iron, was actually curled up. How could such a strong wall be made of copper ore? Yun Shang's heart skipped a beat. She placed her hand on the wall and softly chanted a fire spell. The scorching fire spell swarmed towards the wall. However, to her surprise, the wall still did not move an inch. There was not even a trace of heat. This is amazing. Yun Shang could not help but raise her eyebrows. She really wanted to know what was behind that wall. Deputy Commander, it's almost time. Lu Zi's voice came from the other end of the cave. Chapter 324. Yun Shang had no choice but to withdraw her hand. No matter what was behind this strange wall, she did not have the time to break it down today. Yun Shang turned back. The fantasy gold beast was indeed impressive. In just over an hour, it had already dug out more than 100 kilograms of purple gold ore. It was enough for Yun Shang and Lu Zi to report back. When the two of them brought the purple gold ore out, Lu Zi's father was a little puzzled. How did the two of them suddenly obtain so much purple gold ore? However, he did not ask further. The mysterious people brought in a new batch of miners. They worked day and night, 12-hour a day without rest. It was obvious that this group of mysterious people wanted to finish mining this purple gold or vein in a short period of time. Yun Shang estimated that with the current number of villagers and mining speed, this or vein would be completely dug out in about 10 days. She did not have much time left. Well done. Each of you can get an extra bun tonight. Now, move the ores you've dug out to the Western District. The mysterious leader looked at everyone's progress and found that among this group of 20 villagers, even the two young villagers who looked thin and weak had dug out a full 50 kilograms of ores. This is the purple gold, or that was dug out? Yun Shang heard a female voice when she bent over to move the purple gold ore. Hearing the voice, Yun Shang's heart skipped a beat and she quickly lowered her head. Xian Mimi walked into the mine and casually picked up a piece of purple gold ore and weighed it in her hand. Xian Mimi's appearance made Yun Shang realize that Grand Emperor City was actually related to this or vein. She immediately thought of the massacre of the city several years ago. It was very likely that Grand Emperor City had already set their eyes on this or vein at that time. Miss Xian, please put down the ore. According to the agreement between our master and you, all the ore can only be divided after being transported out. The leader of the mysterious people did not seem to be on the same side as Xian Mimi. His businesslike tone made Xian Mimi very dissatisfied. The unruly Xian Mimi raised her eyebrows and pointed at the leader and scolded. Who do you think you are to speak to me in such a tone? If it weren't for us, would you have been able to find this purple gold mine? Young Miss Xian, you have provided the map of the ore vein, but if it wasn't for our master, would you have been able to obtain this batch of purple gold ore? That small leader was also a shrewd and ruthless person. They had long been dissatisfied with Di Hongqing's brother and sister abusing others here. It was only because they abided by the initial agreement that they did not shed all pretense of cordiality. Although the purple gold ore had already been excavated, as one of the most special ores in the continent, the purple gold ore could only be purified after undergoing a special smelting process. In the entire continent, only a few specially trained mages were capable of refining and purifying ores. Although Xian Mimi was rude and unreasonable, she also knew that the ore this time was indeed indispensable to this group of mysterious people. In order to vent her anger, she threw the ore out and walked out angrily. Yun Shang heaved a sigh of relief. If Xian Mimi recognized her, it wouldn't be fun. However, at the same time, she also began to have doubts about the identity of this group of mysterious people. It seemed that this or vein involved more than just Di Hongqing and the mysterious people's power. Yun Shang pondered as she, Lu Zi, and the rest carried the ores to the Western District. There, Yun Shang and the rest saw nearly a ton of purple gold ore again. At the same time, she also saw a few mages wearing magic cloaks and a few magic arrays. Yun Shang pretended to dawdle for a moment. After the villagers delivered the ores, the mages took the ores into the magic array and disappeared. Obviously, this group of mysterious people was very cautious. They must have smelted the purple gold ore in other places. In the past half a month, more than a ton of purple gold ore had already been transported out through these magic arrays. What are you looking at? Perhaps because Yun Shang had taken a few more glances, One of the mysterious people who was monitoring her swung a whip at her. Yunsheng didn't dare to use magic elements to block it, so she could only grit her teeth and withstand the whip. The whip with sharp barbs whistled through the air and swung toward Yunsheng's slender shoulder. Pa! A hand came out of nowhere and caught the whip in its hand. The barbs of the whip wrapped around the person's 5 fingers. The mysterious person standing beside Yunsheng caught the whip with his bare hands. When they left the mine, the mysterious man had been following beside Yunsheng the whole time. He had not said a word along the way. Yunsheng was a little surprised when he suddenly made a move. Seeing that it was one of his own people who made a move, the mysterious person couldn't help but get angry. "What are you doing?" The mysterious person tried to swing the whip, but when he tried to pull it, he realized that the whip was biting tightly in the other person's hand. Those who were dispatched to participate in this or vein collection mission were all first-class warriors or mages in the country. Most of them didn't know the other person's identity because they were wearing masks. That said, all of them, with the exception of the squad leaders, possessed similar strength. For these mysterious people, once the villagers here finished collecting the ore, they would kill them sooner or later, so their attitude toward the villagers was also very bad. Based on their temperament, when they were happy, they would give them more food to eat, and when they were unhappy, they would beat and scold them. The mysterious person beside him just snorted. His 5 fingers were like eagle claws, and he suddenly exerted force. The whip, which was strong enough to break a rock weighing dozens of kilograms, was instantly broken into several pieces. The mysterious person who used the whip lost his balance and took a few steps back. With just one move, he could see that the other person's strength was much higher than his. He stared at the broken whip in surprise, and for a moment, he didn't dare to fight back. The leader said that we should be careful. In Zhou State, there are already people who have their eyes on us. It will be very difficult to catch new people. Don't kill people casually. These people are the main force of the ore mining. If we lose one, we will waste more time. It's not worth it. The mysterious person who attacked had a very strange voice. Yunsheng looked over from the side. Because he was wearing a mask, she could only vaguely recognize the other person's outline. This was a man with a very deep outline. He had a broad forehead, a sharp nose, beautiful lips, and dark brown eyes. But other than that, Yunsheng didn't feel familiar with him at all. If she hadn't told her second uncle in advance, Yunsheng would have thought that her second uncle had disguised himself to sneak in. "Humph! Get out of here!" In anger, the mysterious person glared fiercely at Yunsheng and the others. Lu Zi's father hurriedly pulled Yunsheng away. After walking far away, Yunsheng couldn't help but look back at the mysterious person. It was sunset, and a touch of sunset light sprinkled on the man's body, plating a layer of golden light on the man's broad shoulders. For a moment, Yunsheng felt that she had seen an emperor come to the world. The pair of dark brown eyes turned into a glazed color in the sunlight, swaying. Chapter 325. The mysterious man's gaze fell on Yunsheng's feet. Yunsheng followed his gaze and found that because of the heavy shackles on her feet, after walking all the way, her delicate skin had already been scratched a few times. Originally, she didn't feel any pain. But when the mysterious man looked at her like this, Yunsheng felt that her wounds were burning. "Weirdo." Yunsheng grinned and followed Lu Zi's father and the others back to the mine. "Don't look, they left long ago." Chengbai came out. He stroked his chin and looked at his good friend Yi Baiming with a deep look. Before coming in, Baiming had warned him that he had to be careful with his words and actions in the mine. After all, among the 3 of them, Chengbai's temper was the most lively and hot-blooded. A few days ago, he had seen the mysterious man killing the villagers several times and wanted to intervene, but he was stopped by Yi Baiming. He didn't expect that today, Yi Baiming would be the first to break the rules. It seemed that Yi Baiming, who had always been too calm, would lose his cool when things were related to little miracle Dr. Yun. Yi Baiming's eyes wandered and he said in a deep voice, "How's Zhao? We've already found out the whereabouts of the purple gold ore. At most, we can take action in 5 days. But how should we deal with these mysterious people?" Chengbai looked at the magic array behind him. The whereabouts of the purple gold, or was their real goal? Kill them. Don't leave a single one alive. Thinking of the wound on Yun Shang's feet and the whip just now, Yi Baiming's voice was as cold as an icicle in the 12th lunar month. Just hearing his voice made Chang Bai feel a chill run down his spine. TSK, TSK. It seemed that little miracle Dr. Yun was his brother's reverse scale. Whoever touched him would die. After returning to the mine, the villagers all breathed a sigh of relief. They had made it through another day. However, Yun Shang noticed that there was a bat on the wall of the cave that she had never seen before. She walked over to the bat, and the bat silently landed beside Yun Shang. Under the bat's drooping wings, Yun Shang found a small piece of paper. It was a message from the sect. In the past few days, the hunting troops of the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps didn't mind. After failing to contact Marquis of Jiayuan's garrison, Yun Kai Songlong no longer placed their hopes on the garrison. They suspected that the garrison had been bribed by these mysterious people. Without the help of the military, it would be very difficult for the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps to break through the magic formations and defenses around the mining area with just the soldiers they brought. It was obviously impossible to get the military's help. Yun Shang thought for a moment and took out a command token from her storage ring. This command token was something that Yun Shang had been given to her when she accepted the invitation of the Hunter Branch's consecrated elder of Mount Daoi. Yun Shang remembered that the person in charge of the Hunter Branch had said that as long as she showed this command token that symbolized her status as a consecrated elder, she could unconditionally ask for help from the Hunter Union. Although they were currently at the remote border of Zhou State, the footprints of hunters could be found all over the country. With an elder's command token, she could call for help. Yun Shang immediately wrote a letter and hid the command token on the bat. Then, she ordered the bat to rush back through the night. After secretly completing the deployment, Yun Shang returned to the cave. Around dawn, Yun Songlong and the others who were anxiously waiting in southern Cliff Town finally heard the sound of a bat flapping its wings. Zhong Yi waved his hand, and the bat landed. On the bat's body, Zhong Yi found a command token and a letter. Yun Songlong impatiently opened the letter. After he finished reading the letter, a rare look appeared in the depths of his eyes. Wow, as expected of our master. Other than being the medicine hall elder of the Wushuan Limitless School, he is also the consecrated elder of the Hunter Union. This is quite impressive. Zhong Yi touched the elder's command token as if it was a treasure. Shang actually had connections with the upper echelons of the Hunter Union and even had an elder's command token. Yun Songlong couldn't help but sweat. It seemed that his niece was much stronger than him. The elder's command token of the Hunter Union might not be as useful as the sect token of the Wushuan Limitless School. It could mobilize close to 100,000 martial warriors at once, but in terms of convenience, it was better than the sect token. The use of the sect token required a person above the vice head of the Wushuan Limitless School to initiate it. Furthermore, the user had to be the holder of the sect token. However, the elder's command token of the Hunter Union didn't need to be so troublesome. Seeing the command token was like seeing the elder himself. Therefore, as long as Yun Songlong and the others held this command token, they could go to the Hunter Union branch near the border and obtain the help of the Hunter Union branch. Master Zhongren, leave the command token to me. I will go to the Hunter Union branch to seek help. Shang also mentioned in the letter that 3 days later, we will meet at an abandoned post dozens of miles away from the mining area. I will hand over all 50 of my brothers to you. It is most suitable for you and the magical beast to be in charge of receiving them. Due to the lack of time, Yun Shang's letter was very short, only a few words. Yun Songlong didn't even know what Yun Shang wanted people to receive. Understood. Master has always been shrewd in doing things. The mysterious leader stomped his feet in anger after he came in. His master had already sent someone to urge him. He said that later Qin's border was ready to make a move. The Dark Prince's spies had already sent people to search the vicinity. In order to prevent being discovered, they had to speed up the excavation. However, at this critical juncture, so many people had died all of a sudden. This made the leader almost go crazy with anger. Perhaps the inside of the cave was too crowded, and the lack of ventilation caused an epidemic. The magic potions masters didn't have any concept of ancient medicine and couldn't identify the poison of the poisonous cardamom. They thought that the large-scale deaths this time were caused by an epidemic. The leader looked at the other people in the cave, and they also looked dispirited. He couldn't let the epidemic continue. The remaining 200 or so healthy villagers were his last trump card to mine the purple gold mine. After thinking for a while, the leader immediately made a decision. Trash. All of you are trash. What are you waiting for? If the corpses don't cause an epidemic here, move them all out. The rest of the villagers, move them to an open area and lock them up with the group of villagers in the livestock shed. Yunsheng mixed in with the crowd. When she heard the leader's words, a smile appeared on her face. Very good. She was waiting to be locked up together. The mysterious people drove the villagers away and carried the corpses out. While helping to carry the corpses, Yunsheng saw the mysterious people she had met earlier. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but she actually noticed that the other party looked at her and winked suspiciously. This made Yunsheng feel guilty for no reason. Just as Yunsheng had predicted earlier, because they were worried that the corpses would cause the magical beasts to get sick, they ordered the villagers to throw the corpses far away. After throwing away the corpses, Yunsheng and the 200 or so villagers were all driven to the vicinity of the livestock shed. In this way, almost all the villagers who had been abducted were locked up together. Its mother. Lu Zi saw a familiar figure. When Lu Zi's mother saw her husband and son, whom she hadn't seen for many days, she also burst into tears. The family of three had never thought that there would be a day when they would be reunited in their lifetime. Liuzi, uncle, auntie, don't be so sentimental. Yunsheng stopped the emotional Liuzi's family. She handed a bag of poisonous cardamom to Lu Zi's mother. Aunt, you are in charge of the food of the mysterious people. Help to mix these beans with the beans that they eat daily. Lu Zi's father and son had already told Lu Zi's mother about Yunsheng's identity. Little magic doctor, are you going to poison them? Lu Zi's father couldn't help but be shocked. Looking at Yunsheng's bright eyes, he suddenly understood. From the epidemic to being driven to the livestock shed to being poisoned, Yunsheng had predicted all of this. 100 people died all of a sudden. The leader of the mysterious people ordered his men to carry the corpses out and throw them in the wilderness. Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai were among them. Looking at the corpses that were casually thrown in the wilderness, Cheng Bai was a little confused. What the hell is the little magic doctor doing? These people are not dead. Even the magic apothecaries accompanying the mysterious people did not notice it, but Yi Baiming immediately found it. Not dead? You mean, it's her doing? Cheng Bai was enlightened by Yi Baiming and couldn't help but click his tongue. Wasn't this little miracle doctor a little too bold? He actually dared to brazenly steal 100 people right under the nose of the mysterious man. In addition, can you think of other ways to save them faster and better? These villagers in front of him were all citizens of Zhou State. If possible, Yi Baiming also wanted to save them. These people seemed to be dead at first glance. But if they were really dead, how could their bodies and skin not be stiff after a night? Little wild cat, what a good trick. Is this the power of a doctor? She can save people and control their deaths. Yi Baiming pondered. This was the first time that he had a special sense of awe for someone, but he didn't expect that person to be her. Not long after the corpses were thrown in the wilderness, the Zone people arrived with dozens of hunters that night. When they saw the corpses all over the ground, they immediately treated them with the method taught by Yunsheng and quietly transferred them. Chapter 327. Within a day and a night, hundreds of people were transferred out of the mine. At the same time, Yun Songlong also arrived at the hunter branch in the south of the border and showed the elder's order to the local director. Seeing the elder's token was like seeing the elder himself. After listening to Yun Songlong's explanation of the situation, the hunter branch immediately gathered all the hunters above Class D who were on a mission nearby. After counting, there were more than 200 people. That night, Yun Songlong took these elite hunters and rushed to the mine. Little magic doctor, I'll do whatever you say. I don't want anything else. As long as Liuzi can go out safely and leave a descendant for my family, I'll be satisfied. Yun Sheng suggested that Liuzi's mother put poisonous cardamom in the food of the mysterious men 3 days later. Liuzi's mother did not ask about the specific reason. Although she was just an illiterate peasant woman, she knew that there were some things that she should not ask. She carefully hid the poisonous cardamom given by Yun Sheng. Sister-in-law, don't worry. Your family can go out safely. During this period, I need your and uncle's cooperation. Yun Sheng found Liuzi's father and whispered a few words. Liuzi's father nodded repeatedly. Because of the sudden loss of 100 people, the head of the mysterious men was a little confused. Liuzi's father volunteered to give a suggestion to the mysterious man. Sir, I have an idea for you. If the idea is suitable, please let my family of 3 live after the mining is done. Lu Zi's father had a face full of loyalty as he begged the leader. The head agreed quickly, but sneered in his heart, "How stupid! The day when the mining is finished will be the day you die." Liu Zi's father's idea was very simple, which was to increase the number of miners. The number of miners was increased from 20 to 100 at a time. No matter men or women, old or young. As long as they could work, they would be sent to the cave. The remaining 100 people were also rushed to the cave to transport the ores excavated at the site to the magic transmission formation. Quick, everyone, hurry up. We have to collect all the ores within 5 days. As a result, those mysterious people had to supervise the miners day and night. The entire mine was caught in an unprecedented high-intensity labor. Due to the lack of manpower, the mysterious people were also on the lookout, so they relaxed a little. After the 3rd watch, the mining in the cave was still in full swing. Several mysterious people walked out of the mine, yawning again and again. When will these days come to an end? If this goes on, even I won't be able to hold on, let alone the miners. One of them complained. Who asked us to be so unlucky? If we were lucky enough to be assigned to the smelting team, we wouldn't have to suffer like this. I heard that this time, the extraction of the purple gold vein was very successful. They extracted over 10,000 gene of the best quality purple gold ore. Even if we secretly hid a piece, it would be equivalent to 10 years of our salary. As the two of them were talking, they suddenly felt a piercing pain on their necks. In the next moment, the two heads rolled to the ground, and their eyes did not even have time to close. Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai deftly took off the waist tags of the two mysterious people who were talking. More than 60 to 70% of the mine has been excavated. It's time to act. Yi Baiming had been lurking in the mine for a long time. Due to Yun Shang's sudden appearance, he had a premonition that the atmosphere in the mine was a little unusual. His sharp intuition told him that he had to act as soon as possible. Otherwise, he was afraid that the little wild cat would ruin his plan. The two of them took out the purple gold ores that they had prepared beforehand and walked towards the transportation area of the mine. When they passed by the defensive area of the mine, Yi Baiming glanced at the powerful magic thunder explosion formation. He suddenly stopped in his tracks. What's wrong? Cheng Bai saw that he suddenly stopped and thought that something was wrong. Yi Baiming did not say a word. He raised his hand, and his hand emitted a black magic element. He fearlessly put his hand into the magic thunder explosion formation. In the eyes of others, the violent magic formation that would explode with a touch seemed to have no power in front of him. The magic element in the magic formation disappeared all of a sudden, and the magic formation became ineffective in an instant. Yi Baiming walked along and destroyed more than 10 magic thunder explosion formations in a row. He secretly said in his heart, "Little wild cat, don't let me down." Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai walked all the way to the transportation area. What are you two doing? The magicians guarding the magic formation saw the two mysterious people and stopped them. There's a shortage of manpower in the mine. We were ordered to send the ores for smelting, Cheng Bai smoothly said. The two magicians checked the two's waist tags before letting them enter the magic formation. Inside the magic formation, magic elements flickered. Under the effect of space-time magic, Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai found themselves in an unfamiliar area in the blink of an eye. Yi Baiming wrinkled his nose. He felt that the temperature around him and the soil under his feet were somewhat different. What a brilliant space-time magic. If he guessed correctly, the two of them were no longer in Zhou State's territory. To be able to use space-time magic for hundreds or even thousands of miles in an instant, there must be a magician in the other party's camp who could use high-level elemental magic. Bai Ming, look. Cheng Bai's expression changed, and there was a hint of surprise on his face. The other end of the magic formation led directly to a large-scale smelting plant. At this moment, the smelting plant was bustling with activity. Hundreds of magicians in magic cloaks were hurriedly bustling about. The purple gold ores that were transported through the magic formation were piled up at the side. First, the magicians with the thunder attribute would break down the large pieces of purple gold ores. Then, the wind attribute magicians would transport them to a huge smelting pool that was the size of 2 basketball courts. There were a total of 30 fire attribute magicians using fire attribute magic at the same time. Not long after the purple gold ores were thrown into the furnace, they were quickly melted by the magic fire. Then, through the smelting pool, they were quickly channeled into another cooling pool. The purple gold ores that had been smelted by the magic fire were more than twice their original size. However, their color had also become more intense. That was the best purple gold. They only needed to be minted into coins before they could be circulated. It was estimated that the purple gold ores that had been transported here in the past 10 days were enough to be made into tens of millions of purple gold coins. Those busy magicians did not notice that there were 2 strangers in the smelting plant. It's actually a large-scale magic smelting plant? Even though Bu Jiuxiao had already infiltrated this place, Yi Baiming and Cheng Bai did not expect that behind this group of mysterious people, there would be such a powerful magician background. Yi Baiming suddenly understood the true identity of this group of mysterious people. In fact, he should have guessed it long ago. On the mainland, only Tang Yuan could have the support of such powerful magicians. Chapter 328. What? You're saying that those ruthless and mysterious people are actually working for Tang Yuan's crown prince, Li Xiao? Cheng Bai's expression changed. This time, Tang Yuan had joined forces with Grand Emperor City to first obtain the location of the purple gold mine. Then, they would wantonly capture the citizens of Zhou State to mine the mine. The entire plan was concealed very well, and there was no indication that Tang Yuan's people were involved. Cheng Bai and the others' investigation was also focused on the hunters at the borders of Zhou State and the later Qin Crown Prince. They did not expect Tang Yuan Kingdom to appear at this time. Tang Yuan was located at the easternmost part of the Boundless Land. Crown Prince Li Xiao was known as the first of the Wuji 5 Walls. He was also a rare genius. He could recite poems at the age of 3 and was familiar with the art of war at the age of 8. The rarest thing was that Li Xiao was modest and loved the people as if they were his children. He had always been known as a benevolent person in Tang Yuan. No matter what, destroy this smelting factory first and send out a signal for Jiao Xiao to start the operation. Yi Baiming's eyes darkened. A magic scepter appeared in his hand. On the magic scepter, 5 magic soul stones, as dark as the night, emitted a terrifying aura. At the same time, Yun Sheng's eyebrows twitched. She felt a chill down her spine. What's wrong? Lu Zi looked nervous. Nothing. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling. Yun Sheng suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if she had been schemed against. At this time, Yun Sheng and Lu Zi were in the mine. The mysterious people who were careless did not notice that the 2 of them had sneaked into a tunnel. A layer of soil had already piled up in front of Yun Sheng. Behind the soil, there was a tunnel that was beginning to take shape. Just 2 days ago, after Yun Sheng managed to send the 100 weak villagers out, she began the second step of her rescue plan. To Yun Sheng and the Heaven Extermination Hunting Group, finding the purple gold mine was a small matter. Saving the lives of hundreds of villagers was a big matter. Yun Sheng was very confident that she could escape unscathed in the chaotic environment of the mine. However, she could not protect so many weak villagers. That day, when she used the fantasy gold beast to mine, Yun Sheng had an idea. Why not use the fantasy gold beast to sneak around the mine and let the villagers sneak out of the mine? She gave it a try and found that a golden illusion beast could dig a tunnel that was nearly 1 mile long in a single night. She had obtained a total of 5 fantasy gold beasts from the beast core. Yun Shang had been controlling the 5 fantasy gold beasts for 2 consecutive days and nights. Just now, the fantasy gold beasts had informed Yun Shang that they had successfully dug out a passageway to the outside of the mine. There's no time to lose. The tunnel is almost finished. Tonight, when the villagers have a short rest, I'll ask your mother to poison them. Yun Shang had been waiting for this moment. Zhongxi had already brought back news that the 100 villagers had been safely settled in southern Cliff Town. Second uncle also successfully mobilized hundreds of hunters to ambush outside the mining area. Tonight, when she gave the signal, they would immediately attack and occupy the mining area. What Yun Shang needed to do was to evacuate as many villagers as possible when night fell. Night came as expected. Just like a few days ago, around dusk, the mysterious people began to distribute food and water. Because they had to protect the villagers from mining, the food had improved a lot during this period. The villagers, who were tired after a day of hard work, sat in 2s and 3s and rested. The mysterious people took out good wine and meat and ate by themselves. Yun Shang stole a glance. Because it was mealtime, the mysterious people were relatively relaxed. At this time, there were still more than 20 mysterious people, 10 fire lizards, and a few flying dogs in the mine. The mysterious people gobbled up the meat and drank the wine. No one noticed that there was an inconspicuous bean in their food. Yun Shang took a dry steamed bun and slowly moved to the side of a fire lizard. The rank 5 fire lizard's skin exuded a flame-like fighting aura. Little brat, go away. Be careful that the lizard will spit fire at you and kill you. The mysterious people saw that Yun Shang was thin and small and wanted to reach out to touch the fire lizard, so they laughed at her. None of them were on guard. The fire lizards, who usually looked like strangers approaching them, all began to tremble when Yun Shang approached them. The magic beast's instincts told them that the other party was emitting a terrible wave. It was the unique wave of a summoner. It was a wave that was emitted by the summoning hand on Yun Shang's body. It was a wave that only Emperor Zhao had. Now, Yun Shang had absorbed more than 20% of the summoning power from the summoning hand. It was easy for her to control these rank 4 and 5 magic beasts. 1. Yun Shang seemed to be stroking the fire lizard out of curiosity, but in reality, the moment her hand touched the fire lizard's skin, the fire lizard was quickly tamed by her in just a few breaths. It was a pity that those fierce wind hounds had been lying next to the mysterious people. Yun Shang did not find a chance to tame them. In the time it took to eat, more than a dozen fire lizards were tamed by her. We've finished eating. Don't be lazy. Hurry up and dig. After the mysterious people finished eating, they burped a few times. Just as they were about to wave their whips to urge the villagers to get up, one of them suddenly felt that he could not lift his hand. Not only that, they could not move their feet. Then, they could not even move their eyelids. Plop, plop. One after another, more than a dozen mysterious people fell to the ground. There's poison in the food. Among them, some of the mysterious people had higher cultivation. The poison of the poisonous cardamom could not kill them in a short time. They shouted and drove the wind hounds away. They wanted to immediately inform the people outside the cave. But just as they were about to escape from the mine, more than a dozen fire lizards under their command spat out bursts of flames and fought with them. Seeing so many fire lizards suddenly turn against them, the villagers were dumbfounded. Everyone, let's go together. We can't let these evil thieves escape. Lu Zi's father had long been prepared. He and the villagers had long hated these mysterious people who killed people without batting an eyelid. Seeing that they had been poisoned and their limbs were weak, the villagers all took this opportunity to rush forward. They lifted the rocks and threw them at the group of mysterious people. A large number of villagers surrounded the remaining mysterious people. In just a moment, those mysterious people who had done evil were smashed all over the ground, and their heads were bleeding. Little magic doctor, what should we do next? After smashing those evil people to death, Lu Zi's father and the villagers were relieved. But at the same time, they were very scared. They knew that if the mysterious people outside knew what had happened in the mine, they would definitely die. I think most of the mysterious people outside have also eaten the poisoned food. When they find out, they will definitely enter the cave. We must make good use of this period of time. Everyone takes a piece of purple gold ore, but don't be greedy. Follow me. Yun Shang led the villagers to the tunnel located at the fork. The villagers did not dare to be greedy. Each of them picked up a piece of purple gold oregon. In Yun Shang's words, these ores would fall into the hands of the Zhou state military anyway. The villagers' villages were destroyed, and some of them had lost their relatives. They needed a lot of money to rebuild. Chapter 329. There's a tunnel here that my companions dug. Yun Sheng vaguely explained the origin of the tunnel. At this moment, the villagers were full of admiration for Yun Sheng. They did not resist anymore and followed Yun Sheng's arrangement. One by one, they walked down the tunnel. When it was Lu Zi and his father's turn, Lu Zi's father hesitated for a moment and turned around. Little miracle-working doctor, I'm worried about my wife. I want to go with her. You also need someone to help you. I was a hunter in my early years and know some martial arts. I'll stay and help you. Lu Zi also asked to stay. Well, Lu Zi, uncle will stay. You and the rest of the villagers go all the way down the tunnel. When you reach a safe place, immediately go to Southern Cliff Town. My people will meet you halfway. Yun Sheng was very emotional about Lu Zi's father and mother's deep affection. She also knew that Lu Zi's father would not leave. After a few words of persuasion, Lu Zi reluctantly went into the tunnel. In just half an hour, the mine was empty, leaving only the bodies of more than 20 mysteries and magic beasts on the ground. Yun Sheng walked forward and pulled off the mask of one of the mysterious men. Lu Zi's father searched the mysterious man's body again, and he actually found a token. Yun Sheng looked at the token and found that the word Shao was written on it. She could not recognize the specific origin of this token, so she put it away first. Uncle, do you know how to set traps? Later, after you and I sneak out. Yun Sheng remembered that there were still a few animal traps that she had taken from Banana Leaf Village in her storage ring. Yun Sheng commanded the fire lizard and Lu Zi's father to sneak out quietly. Although more than 200 people had been successfully transferred, there were still more than 100 villagers, including Lu Zi's mother, outside and in the area of the livestock shed. Yun Sheng asked Lu Zi's father to change into the clothes of the mysteries and escorted her out. Lu Zi's father walked out of the mine. Outside the mine, there were still a few mystery men on guard. They were waiting for the next batch of mystery men to take their shifts. The people outside the mine were completely unaware of the riot that had happened inside. What did this kid do? Seeing the dejected Yun Sheng, the guard asked. His hands and feet are dirty. He secretly hid a piece of purple gold oregon. If it was in the past, we would have beaten him to death long ago. Now that we don't have enough manpower, let's take him to the barn first. Lu Zi's father was very flexible. He even glared fiercely at Yun Sheng. Go to the kitchen and urge them. Those guys who changed shifts haven't come yet. Do they want to starve me to death? The man guarding the mine waved his hand impatiently. He didn't know that the group of mysterious people in the kitchen had already been poisoned by the poisonous cardamom and had fainted. Got it. Thank you for your hard work, brother. Lu Zi's father pushed Yun Sheng and walked quickly in the direction of the kitchen. Along the way, Yun Sheng suddenly found that the thunder explosion magic array, which was originally full of thunderstorm power, had all failed. God is really helping me. Yun Sheng couldn't help but feel happy. Everything had gone incredibly smoothly today. It was so smooth that it was as if someone was secretly helping her. Yun Sheng asked Lu Zi's father to set up a lot of animal traps along the way. The two came to the kitchen. As soon as they opened the door of the kitchen, they heard a gust of wind coming at them. Uncle, be careful. Yun Sheng immediately pulled out her magic scepter. The wind magic elements knocked away the wind coming at them. Mother, it's us. Lu Zi's father took a closer look and saw Lu Zi's mother and a group of women from the village and neighboring villages. They were all holding kitchen knives in their hands and surrounding the door of the kitchen. He hurriedly pulled off his mask. The knife just now was swung by Lu Zi's mother. After she slashed out, she saw that it was the little miracle-working doctor and her husband. These women, who usually didn't even dare to kill a chicken, had all been stimulated by the life-or-death experience. They held kitchen knives and looked fierce, as if they were going to fight to the death. Yunshang, who was still a little nervous, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You scared me to death. Father, I just thought you were the accomplices of these villains. I followed the little miracle-working doctor's instructions and poisoned them all. Lu Zi's mother touched her chest and pointed behind her. Sure enough, dozens of mysterious people fell behind her. Yunsheng's eyes turned cold. She asked Lu Zi's father to go up and slit their throats with a knife. She had no sympathy for these villains. Yunsheng counted. Including those who had been killed earlier, at least half of the mysterious people in the mining area had been killed by them. The most troublesome ones now were the leader of the mysterious people with the highest cultivation and the Xin siblings in the mining area. Everyone, don't panic. Your families and children are safe. Don't leave the kitchen first. Auntie, do you know where the leader and the Xin siblings live? Yunsheng asked Lu Zi's mother. Yes, I know. Every day at this time, I and several little cooks here deliver food to them. Lu Zi's mother was relieved when she heard that Lu Zi had gone out safely. How about this? I'll disguise myself as a cook and go with Annie. Yunsheng quickly changed into a little cook's disguise. She and Lu Zi's mother each carried a heavy food box and rushed towards the residence of the leader and the Xin siblings. They walked forward with their heads down. They walked through more than half of the mining area and came to a temporary tent. The tent was lit with luminous pearls. There was only the leader of the mysterious people in it, and the Xin siblings were nowhere to be seen. The mysterious people who were keeping watch outside looked normal. Obviously, they didn't know what had happened in the mining cave. Your Excellency, this is today's meal. Lu Zi's mother put down the food box. Wait a minute, why haven't I seen you before? The leader of the mysterious people was cautious. He looked at Yunsheng's beautiful face and fair skin, and suddenly grabbed Yunsheng's hand. Because of the jade marrow technique, Yunsheng's hand was slender and fair, completely different from the rough hands of ordinary village women. The leader recognized the difference in Yunsheng at a glance. Your Excellency, bad news. Several mysterious people ran in from outside. There's a problem with the magic array. What? The leader was shocked and let go of Yunsheng's hand. Could it be that they had found out that the thunderstorm magic array had failed? Yunsheng also noticed that when she and Lu Zi were first brought back to the mining area, there were many magicians in the mining area. But these days, there were almost no magicians in the mining area. It seemed that for some special reason, all the magicians had been transferred away. It was also because of this reason that these mysterious people, who looked like ordinary warriors, didn't notice that the magic array had been tampered with. After listening to them, Yunsheng realized that the magic array they were talking about was not the thunderstorm magic array, but the space-time transmission magic array used to transport the purple gold ore. Thank you to Mei Dai and Smoke Ring for your tips. I will work hard to write the novel. The female lead will be big. Remember to come back and visit me on the weekends when school starts. The tips I owe will accumulate, and I will pay them all back. Chapter 330. The leader was obviously shocked. He grabbed the person who came and asked sternly, "Say it again. What happened to those teleportation magic arrays? They don't work anymore. Our people brought a batch of newly collected purple gold ore. As usual, when they were about to go through the magic arrays, everyone who went in was ejected." The mysterious man was also at his wit's end. He could only immediately return to report to the leader. Impossible. The magic arrays that Master had people draw were all made by the best magicians in the country. The leader's face was full of disbelief. He immediately rushed to the magic arrays with his men. Take those two women with you. He looked back at Yunsheng and Lu Zi's mother and ordered his men to bring them along. Yunsheng remained calm and collected. She and Lu Zi's mother followed the mysterious men to the teleportation magic arrays. Just as the mysterious men had said earlier, those teleportation magic arrays were now dim and lifeless. Yunsheng also noticed that there were no space-time magic elements in those magic arrays. It was as if someone had sucked all the magic elements out of those magic arrays. It was exactly the same as the thunderstorm magic arrays. Yunsheng could not help but be surprised. Who was the mysterious man who could break such powerful magic arrays at once? The leader of the mysterious men felt that something was wrong. Come, bring all the villagers here. Take those 2 women and bring them to the cave. The leader of the mysterious men knew very well that these teleportation magic arrays led to the magic smelting field that Master had meticulously set up. Now that the magic arrays had suddenly stopped working, they had lost contact with the smelting field. Something must have happened at the smelting field. Tens of millions of purple gold ore, and nearly 100 magicians from Master's residence. The only thing the mysterious leader could do now was to beg those magicians and the purple gold ore to be safe. Otherwise, he did not dare to think further. He thought that no matter what method he used, he had to transfer the remaining purple gold ore away. This way, at least he could report back to Master. Is there any movement inside? The team leader and the rest of the mysterious people drove the rest of the villagers to the outside of the mine. There's nothing going on. Everything is very quiet. The few mysterious people guarding outside the mine did not know what was going on when they saw the small leader leading a group of people over. I suspect that someone has snuck into the mine. The magic arrays outside have all been destroyed. Drive all these people in. The leader was very shrewd. He was afraid that the enemies who were lying in ambush had already sneaked into the mine. He drove the rest of the villagers into the mine first. Then, he waited outside and listened to the movements inside. At this time, Luzi's father was waiting in the kitchen. After waiting for a long time, Yunsheng and Luzi's mother did not come back. He was a little anxious. Calculating the time, it was about time. He took out a signal rocket that Yunsheng had given him before she left and threw it into the air. The fire beacon arrow flew into the sky and exploded in midair. A smoke signal floated into the air. Almost at the same time, Yun Songlong and the hundreds of hunters who were lying in ambush outside the mine received the signal. Everyone, let's charge inside. What's that sound? After the leader of the mysterious men drove the group of villagers in, there was no movement for a long time. When he heard the signal of the fire beacon arrow, his expression changed. Sir, it's not good. There are many hunters outside rushing in. The mysterious man who was keeping watch outside reported in horror. Capture all the people inside. A few hundred hunters? When the leader of the mysterious men heard this, he understood that he had fallen into the other party's trap. More than half of the mages under his command were gone, and there were less than 100 people left. Once the other party's elite hunters were out, it would be difficult to resist. He could only use the hundreds of hostages at hand. Who knew that when they rushed into the mine, they would find that there were no villagers inside? Not a single one. How is this possible? The leader of the mysterious men looked as if he had been struck by lightning. He looked at the empty cave and was speechless. Who said that there's no one left? I'm still waiting for you here. A clear voice came from a corner of the mine. A young man stood in the middle of the deadly purple gold ore. The leader of the mysterious men immediately recognized her. She was the little cook who had delivered food to him earlier. Who are you? The leader of the mysterious men still could not understand how so many villagers suddenly disappeared. Yin Yun from the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps. Yun Sheng smiled. Although she was young, she was beautiful. When she smiled, the group of mysterious men only felt that their eyes were dazzled. Hunters. You're with the hunters outside. What a Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps. I didn't think that we would fall into your trap. However, you're really not afraid of death. Do you think that you can defeat us alone? The leader of the mysterious men could not help but shake his head. This young lady was also stupid. At this time, she should be hiding. Who told you that I was alone? Yun Sheng pursed her lips and pulled out her magic scepter. Mage. So what if you're a magician? Even if you're a high-level magician, we'll be able to capture you while you're chanting. The leader waved his hand, and the dozens of mysterious men beside him pounced on Yun Sheng like hungry wolves. Mages were naturally at a disadvantage. Furthermore, the other party was only a young mage. Never underestimate your enemy, idiots. Yun Sheng's red lips curled up slightly. She pointed her magic scepter at the ground and a summoning array appeared under her feet. The ground churned, and the purple gold or rolled all over the ground. A terrifying magic beast the size of an elephant with 100 legs emerged from the ground. Magic beast? Could it be that the other party was not an ordinary mage? She was also a summoner? When the unknown species of magic beast appeared, the leader realized that the wind hounds beside him were all trembling in fear. Although he was not a summoner, he could feel that the magic beast was emitting a terrifying aura. This aura had not appeared even on the Crown Prince's mount, the level 9 dragon horse. Could it be that it was an existence that surpassed level 9? What a pity. If you obediently ate the poisoned food I prepared for you, you could still be full. Now, you can only be used to feed my centipede ants. Leave no one alive. Yun Shang's eyes flashed and a murderous look appeared on her pretty face. The magic scepter in her hand shot out several fire arrows at the same time. The centipede ants flapped their wings and spat out venom from their mouths. Blood and flesh rained down in the mine. The leader of the mysterious men was quickly forced to retreat. Chapter 331. Escape. He had to escape. Only now did he understand how terrifying this female summoner of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps was. Her small figure shuttled through the group of mysterious people, each hand releasing a flame explosion. The crimson flames made her eyes look blood-red. When she killed, her black hair fluttered in the wind. She was like a demon from hell, taking lives with every move. In front of the centipede ant, these martialists, who had undergone strict training, were torn to pieces and swallowed in one gulp. The pleas and cries for help from her subordinates were like a never-ending song. Under the cover of a few mysterious people, the leader finally managed to kill his way out of the mine. However, when he stepped out of the mine, he was met with hundreds of hunters waiting for him outside. Originally, everyone was prepared to fight to the death and see a tragic scene of corpses everywhere. However, when they entered, they felt that it was inconceivable. They found the dozens of villagers who were still in the kitchen and rushed to the mine. Just as they were about to kill their way in, they saw a few cultivators covered in blood running out in a sorry state. Their expressions were as if they had seen a ghost. The person in the lead was like a god, unstoppable. Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps, Yun Songlong. We have been waiting here for a long time. Without the lightning explosion magic array, Yun Songlong and the hundreds of hunters killed their way in. Zhou State, Yun Songlong. When he saw the godlike Yun Songlong and his intact arm, the leader of the mysterious people could no longer support himself. His knees went weak and he collapsed to the ground. How did this person end up like this? Where were the other mysterious people? Second uncle, you came just in time. Yun Songlong was puzzled when he saw his niece walk out of the mine with a relaxed expression. When he saw Yun Shang, the leader of the mysterious people shouted, "Don't come over! Don't come over!" He looked as if Yun Shang was a demon. Yun Songlong had a headache. It seemed that this group of people had been messed with by his niece. Second uncle, Yun Shang still wanted to say something, but suddenly, Yun Songlong's expression changed. The hunters also looked behind them vigilantly. Warhorses neighed. At the entrance of the mine, military flags fluttered in the wind like the clouds in the sky. Above the flags were embroidered the words, Zhou State. Shu. A general from Zhou State galloped over. Behind the horses were the Xin siblings from Grand Emperor City. Zhou State's Marquis of Jiayuan's army has come under orders to encircle and suppress bandits. All of you, quickly retreat. That general was precisely the nephew of the Marquis of Jiayuan that Yun Songlong had met earlier, the general of the southern border garrison, enrich. Zhou State Garrison? Yun Songlong's expression changed drastically. He looked at the Xin siblings beside enrich and knew that something was amiss. Yun Shang also didn't expect that the situation that had been completely under control would suddenly change because of the sudden appearance of the southern border garrison. So it's brother Yun. Seeing the group of hunters standing together, then looking at the mysterious person kneeling on the ground, enrich's small eyes narrowed. He and Yun Songlong could be considered old acquaintances. The two of them were about the same age. It was just that when Yun Songlong joined the army, he had always suppressed him in every aspect. This made the petty Enrich very dissatisfied. Several years ago, Xin Wuji had plotted against Yun Songlong and caused him to be crippled. When Enrich found out, he even held a banquet in his official residence to celebrate. Without Yun Songlong as an eyesore, and with the help of the Marquis of Jiyuan, Enrich had a meteoric rise. He even managed to obtain a lucrative position as the general of the southern border garrison. These years, he had acted like a tyrant in the border area. He had colluded with Emperor Hongqing, later Qin, and Tang Yuan. He had originally reaped great benefits from the purple gold mine this time. Who would have thought that Yun Songlong and the local hunters would appear halfway and ruin his plans? The Xin siblings were also cunning. They had discovered that the magic array in the mine was damaged before the mysterious person's team leader. They knew that something was amiss, so they informed Enrich overnight and let him take over the mine in the name of Zhou State Garrison before Yun Songlong and the others interrogated the mysterious person. General and I, long time no see. His Majesty had us investigate this mine when we were in Yujing earlier. Yun Songlong also knew that something was amiss, but he had already resigned from his position as the general of Zhou State. In terms of status, he was now a citizen and Enrich was an official. In Zhou State, he couldn't make an enemy of Enrich. He could only tell Enrich about the appointment of the Emperor of Zhou State. The Marquis has already mentioned this matter to me. Since the mine has been found, let us deal with these villains who have seized the mine. Also, let me take over the mine behind you. Enrich coveted the mine when he thought of the remaining half of the purple gold mine. This group of damn hunters, they don't know what's good for them. How dare they take away my source of income? Let him take over the mine and the mysterious person? Yunsheng couldn't help but frown. But if she didn't agree, it would be tantamount to disobeying the military order. The hunters of the Hunter Union wouldn't agree to make an enemy of the army. She and second uncle obviously couldn't confront the army head-on. Enrich had come prepared today. He had brought thousands of elite defenders with him. The Xian siblings were secretly pleased, especially Xian Wuji. When he saw Yun Songlong's dissatisfaction, he felt even more delighted. Wait, which idiot said to hand over the mine? Zhong Yi sat on the dragon-clawed bat in the sky. He looked down at Enrich with a fierce expression. The Xian siblings also recognized Zhong Yi. A sacred beast summoner? Enrich's heart skipped a beat when he saw the huge bat below him. Since when was there a holy beast summoner in the Great Zhou dynasty? Sir, you are? Enrich was a general of the border guards after all. He had seen the world. He also knew that he couldn't fight force with force when facing someone as strong as Zhong Yi. Master Summoner, according to the agreement of the Boundless Continent, this mine is a purple gold mine. This purple gold mine is located in the territory of the Great Zhou dynasty, so it naturally belongs to the Great Zhou dynasty. You see, Enrich thought that even a sacred beast summoner could not openly snatch a mine from the Great Zhou dynasty. Who said so? 50% of the ore found in this mine belongs to me. This was said by the Emperor of Zhou State himself. Zhong Yi glared, and the dragon-clawed bat king flapped its wings continuously. After the dragon-clawed bat king leveled up, its body was more than a third bigger than before. Its flapping wings were like a small tornado. The soldiers below were blown all over the place. Enrich struggled to steady himself. He stammered, Sir Summoner, are you telling the truth? You have no proof? No proof. Look at what this is. Zhong Yi threw down a piece of cloth. Chapter 332. When she saw the cloth, the corner of Yunsheng's mouth couldn't help but twitch. This Songwei was really a clown. Earlier, he had forced the Zhou State's emperor, Yi Chengtian, to cut out 50% of the mine's ownership. He was also afraid that the Zhou State's emperor would go back on his word. In order to prevent others from saying that his imperial seal and signature were fake, he tore off a piece of the Zhou State's emperor's robe and forced the Zhou State's emperor to sign it himself before stamping it with his imperial seal. Only then did Enrich see the ownership of the mineral vein. Enrich was skeptical. He carefully looked at the ownership of the mine. That piece of cloth was an imperial cloth. The imperial seal and the words were all written by the Zhou state's emperor himself. In this way, Enrich had nothing to say. I see. Since Lord Summoner has proof, then half of the mine's ownership belongs to you. As for, Enrich wanted to continue. The ownership of the mine is not enough. The ores that are dug out must also be divided into two. Leader Yun, find someone to enter the mine and record all the purple gold ores that have been mined. Half of these ores belong to this old man. Zhong Wei looked old-fashioned, but his brain worked faster than anyone else's. When Enrich heard this, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The Xian siblings' faces were also as black as the bottom of a pot. They had originally planned to tamper with the purple gold ores that had been mined. With Zhong Wei's plan, even if they wanted to tamper with the ores later, they would have no way to do so. Xin Wuji's eyes turned. Suddenly, he thought of a plan and whispered in Enrich's ear. When Enrich heard this, he put on a smile. Lord Summoner, this official has something to discuss with you. Earlier, you said that His Majesty gave you half of the mine's ownership in order to find the mine. Why don't we divide the ownership of the mine now? This mine is divided into two directions, north and south. Most of the mines in the south have been mined by my Zhou state's villagers. This official thinks that since this is the case, why don't we use the north and south as the boundary? The south belongs to our Zhou state, and the north belongs to Lord Summoner? Enrich's words were very clever. However, when Yun Shang heard this, she sneered in her heart. With north and south as the boundary, Enrich and Xin Wuji were truly cunning. Zhong Yi did not enter the mine. So how would he know the distribution of the purple gold ores on the north and south sides? In fact, this purple gold mine was very unevenly distributed on the north and south sides. Most of the purple gold mines that were easy to dig were on the south side, while the north side was barren. However, Yun Shang remembered the strange wall on the north side. Enrich and Xin Wuji exchanged glances. They were certain that Zhong Yi had never entered the mine before and would not know the situation inside. Zhong Shi glanced at Yun Shang and saw her nod. All right, I won't take advantage of Zhou state. I'll divide the remaining mine into two. The south will belong to you, and the north will belong to me. Neither the north nor the south is allowed to interfere. When Enrich heard this, he nodded his head like he was pounding garlic. He was still afraid that Zhong Yi would go back on his word, so he ordered his subordinates to write a contract. Both parties signed it separately, one copy for each person. Thus, the matter of the mine came to an end. Enrich ordered his men to escort the mysterious people away. After Yun Songlong thanked the hunters who came to help, he settled the villagers down and the Heaven Hunting Corps members returned to Southern Cliff Town. The rescued villagers thanked him profusely. They firmly remembered the kindness of the Heaven Hunting Corps. The Heaven Hunting Corps' reputation also rose because of this incident. However, this was a story for later. After Yun Shang returned to the inn, she showed the token with the word Shao on it to Yun Songlong. After Yun Songlong checked it, his expression changed. Shang-er, are you sure this token was found on the mysterious people? This token seems to belong to Tang Yuan and Li Shao's personal guards. It's a pity that the mysterious people have already been taken away by Enrich. If I'm not wrong, Dihong City, Enrich, and Tang Yuan must have colluded with each other. Yun Shang felt that it was a pity that 2/3 of the purple gold had fallen into the hands of Tang Yuan's people. Li Shao is Tang Yuan's second prince. This person is also a top figure, so we need to be more careful. Also, we must have offended Dihong City this time. We need to be more careful in the future. Yun Songlong thought of the sinister glance Xin Wuji gave them when he left the mine. Second uncle, Shang-er knows what to do. I want to stay at the border for a few more days and develop the purple gold or vein in the north. The Heaven Hunting Corps' current equipment and members are still too few. After developing the purple gold or vein, we can obtain more funds. Yun Shang told Yun Songlong her thoughts. I'll leave the matter of the ore vein to you. Enrich's men have already started to mine the ore vein. What I mean is that after they've finished mining, we'll go in to investigate to avoid any conflicts. Yun Songlong chose a reliable hunting soldier and handed it to Yun Shang. The Heaven Hunting Corps' reputation had spread far and wide. During this period of time, many missions had come to them. Two pieces of news quickly came from Enirony's side. The first piece of news was about the purple gold, or that had been divided. Yunshang and the others had been given a share of the purple gold, or that was worth 1 million. The second piece of news was about the leader of the mysterious people. Not long after that leader was captured by Zhou State's army, he committed suicide with a group of other mysterious people. Enirony even hung his corpse at the entrance of Southern Cliff Town. However, his face had been scratched into a mess. On the night after the corpse was hung up, a few fast horses crossed the southern border and headed towards Tangyuan. Late at night 3 days later, in the capital of Tangyuan, the most powerful country in the east of the boundless continent. As the country with the most mages on the continent, Tangyuan was emitting the aura of magic everywhere. In the population ratio here, the ratio of ordinary people to mages was as high as 3 to 1. This ratio meant that 1 out of 4 people was a mage. There was a record of the continent's historians. Among the 5 major countries on the continent, other than the East Imperial capital, the other 5 had their own characteristics. Their characteristics could be seen just by looking at the city walls of their respective imperial capitals. For example, Zhou State and later Qin, countries that worshipped martial arts, most of their imperial capital city gates were built with huge stones. The city walls were sturdy and could withstand the impact of thousands of troops and horses. Penglai was a natural sea country. They used the sea as their wall and countless sea beasts were their best defense. As for the immortal abode, it was a country of elves. The everlasting elven forest was the most natural city wall. As for Tangyuan's imperial capital, Bianliang, it looked no different from an ordinary city. However, upon closer inspection, one would realize that there were countless magic arrays drawn on the city walls of Bianliang. This was a country of magic. Chapter 333. The streets of Biantong were not lit by ordinary lamps, but by magic lamps that would not be extinguished for decades. At night, a few horses galloped along the street, led by Xin Wuji and the mysterious leader who should have killed himself long ago. Outside a quiet mansion, the courtyard was deep and bustling. The lanterns of the crown prince's residence were like a long dragon, emitting a frightening light in the dark night. When Xin Wuji and the mysterious leader saw Li Xiao, the second prince of Tangyuan, Li Xiao, he was sipping tea. This man, known as the first of the Wuji 5 Jade Walls, had a picturesque appearance. In terms of appearance, he did not have Yi Baiming's exquisite features, nor did he have Xiao Wenchu's aura that made people unconsciously feel close to him. But Li Xiao's uniqueness was that he was just right, neutralizing Yi Baiming's exquisite handsomeness with Xiao Wenchu's temperament. In addition, he had been trained in the royal family since he was young, so no matter the occasion, he could shine like the most precious purple gold. In the pavilion, Li Xiao personally boiled the water, placed the tea leaves, and washed them. Every movement was very elegant and almost impeccable. Second prince, I deserve to die. The purple gold vein has been taken away. When the mysterious leader saw Li Xiao's peaceful expression, he knelt on the ground. In front of this elegant master, he didn't even dare to say a word. There's more. Li Xiao picked up the fragrant cup and blew on it. The smelting field has been destroyed. More than 100 mages and tens of millions of top-grade purple gold that had been refined are missing. When the leader of the mysterious people heard the news, he gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. He had wanted to die, but when he thought of his wife and children, he had no choice but to bite the bullet and return to Tangyuan. He knew that if he dared to defect, what awaited him would be endless pursuit. Do you know who did it? Li Xiao's face was still calm and elegant, but there was a dark undercurrent in his eyes. Those familiar with Li Xiao knew that this was a sign that he was enraged. After nearly a year of planning, they obtained the purple gold mine from the Grand Emperor city at a high price. Everything went smoothly with more than 100 elite magicians. Whether it was Zhou State or later Qin, no one discovered their secret. But just a few days ago, several bad news came one after another. Zhou State's army launched a surprise attack on the purple gold mine. More than 100 magicians in the smelting factory were slaughtered, and the smelting pool, which was originally filled with purple gold water, flowed with blood. All of his hard work had been destroyed in a single night. The most despicable thing was that tens of millions of purple gold had disappeared in a single night. The casualties were heavy, and these people were all elites under Li Xiao. I don't know. The leader's voice was filled with fear. I don't know. Captain Lin, please get up first. Li Xiao put down the cup in his hand. A silver light flashed in the cup. Although I don't know who destroyed the smelting factory, in this mine incident, a new hunting corps called the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps played a major role. They saved the villagers. This subordinate suspects that the tens of millions of purple gold that disappeared without a trace also went into their pockets. That hunting corps' strength is not to be underestimated. Their leader is the former military general of the Great Zhou Dynasty, Yun Songlong. They also have a summoner who can summon commander-level magical beasts. The leader of the mysterious group only knew that he had been captured. He did not know how he had fallen into the encirclement of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps. Yun Songlong? Wasn't his hand crippled? When did Zhou State have a summoner who can summon commander-level magical beasts? Li Xiao's expression changed slightly. Zhou State's national fortune was declining, but he didn't expect that several powerful people from Zhou State would be implicated this time. I saw it with my own eyes. Yun Songlong's hands are as good as new, and his cultivation is not inferior to before. As for the summoner, she is young, but very sinister and cunning. Her name is Yin Yun. The leader of the mysterious people described Yun Shang's situation. Captain Lin, you've worked hard these days. Li Xiao changed the topic and raised the cup of tea he brewed earlier. This cup of tea is for you. When the leader of the mysterious people heard this, his forehead immediately broke out in a cold sweat. The crown prince's tea. He trembled and took the cup of tea. The silver light of the tea reflected the bright moon in the sky. I know that I have committed a capital offense. I only hope that your highness can spare my wife and children on account of my years of loyalty. The mysterious person drank the cup of tea in one gulp. Very good. Lin Xiaowei, you can leave. Li Xiao walked to the leader of the mysterious people. He raised his hand and patted Lin Xiaowei's shoulder. Lin Xiaowei only felt a cold finger caressing his shoulder. The crown prince didn't blame him? The leader of the mysterious people was overjoyed. He hurriedly kowtowed to express his gratitude and couldn't wait to leave. He had only taken 3 steps when his eyes suddenly widened. A layer of ice quickly condensed on his lower limbs. The ice layer quickly spread to his entire body. In the end, even his hair and eyebrows were completely frozen. With a crack, the leader who was kowtowing to express his gratitude a moment ago turned into an ice sculpture. The ice sculpture shattered inch by inch and quickly turned into a puddle of water. This, Xian Wuji, the young castellan of Grand Emperor City, who was originally sitting at the side and sipping his tea, couldn't help but shake the teacup in his hand. A drop of hot water splashed out. The water splashed on his hand, but he didn't feel hot. He seemed to feel a wave of icy magic elements surrounding him. That pat just now, Xian Wuji finally realized that Tang Yuan and Li Xiao's seemingly careless pat was a fatal one. Even with Xian Wuji's cultivation, he couldn't tell when exactly Li Xiao had injected the fatal ice magic elements into Lin Xiaowei's body. The Wuji 5 annulus was indeed worthy of its name. It was rumored that Tang Yuan and Li Xiao were adept at water magic and could kill people without leaving a trace. Xian Wuji watched as a living soldier turned into a puddle of water in the span of a few breaths. His heart was filled with fear. He coughed and put down the teacup in his hand. Speaking of which, the cooperation between Grand Emperor City and Tang Yuan was carried out in secret. Xian Wuji had originally planned to take advantage of this opportunity to make a huge profit. Who knew that the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps would suddenly appear and disrupt their plans? Xian Wuji was still depressed. Seeing that Yun Songlong had recovered, Xian Wuji came to Tang Yuan this time to ally with the second prince, Li Xiao, and think of a way to deal with the people of the Yun residence. According to his understanding of Li Xiao, this person looked benevolent, but was actually sinister and narrow-minded. He definitely wouldn't let the loss of tens of thousands of kilograms of purple gold go. September 1st, A new month, a rush for votes. Chapter 334. Li Xiao's face was still warm, as if the person who had just died in front of him was not a person, but an ant. Compared to Li Xiao, Xin Wuji was far inferior in terms of viciousness. He thought to himself that he must not have any conflicts with Li Xiao in the future. This time, it's all thanks to Brother Xin for sending the person back. Otherwise, if my identity was leaked, it would definitely cause unnecessary diplomatic disputes. Li Xiao sipped his tea as if he did not notice the change in Xin Wuji's expression. He still had a modest smile on his face. Your Highness is too polite. The relationship between Dihong City and Tang Yuan has always been good. This time, if it wasn't for Yun Songlong and his damned hunting corps, we would have already succeeded. Xin Wuji's face was filled with indignation when he thought of his love rival, Yun Songlong. He had been busy and wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to obtain a windfall. Who knew that Yun Songlong and those damned hunting corps would ruin his plan? Xin Wuji had never thought that the ones who had really hindered his entire plan were Yun Shang, whom he had ignored, and Yi Baiming, who was hiding in the shadows. Brother Xin, do you want to permanently eliminate Yun Songlong? Li Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. His tone was very amiable, as if he was not discussing killing someone. Of course I do, but it's easier said than done. Back then, I had such a good opportunity, but I didn't get rid of Yun Songlong. Now that his hands have recovered, his cultivation is even stronger than before. Xin Wuji hated Yun Songlong to the bone. A few years ago, Yun Songlong had caused him to lose his fiancée and his prestige in Dihong City. Now, he had also caused him to lose a large amount of purple gold coins for no reason. Xin Wuji wanted nothing more than to drink his blood and eat his flesh. On the other hand, the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps had earned their reputation and half of the Orvain. Brother Xin, you're wrong. Dihong City can easily eliminate a mere Yun Songlong. The terrifying one is not Yun Songlong, but the martial saint of Zhou State, Yun Ba, Li Xiao said. A large part of the reason why Zhou State was able to stand tall on the boundless continent was because of the martial saint of Zhou State, Yun Ba. As long as Yun Ba was killed, the residents of Yun and Zhou State would be in imminent danger. But Yun Ba's martial realm had already reached the level of a saint. Back then, I spent a lot of money to invite Tian Kezi, but he defeated him with half a move. Later Qin had no choice but to retreat. Where am I supposed to find a martial saint expert to kill Yun Ba? Zuin Wuji also recalled that back then, he had almost been able to kill Yun Songlong. It was that old bastard Yun Ba who had single-handedly killed thousands of Grand Emperor City's warriors. Coupled with Yuan Shahua's death threat, Grand Emperor City had no choice but to give up on the plan to kill Yun Songlong. I have a plan. As far as I know, Yun Ba's vitality was greatly damaged in the battle between him and the martial saint of later Qin, Tian Kezi. After all these years, his martial realm cultivation has not improved. As long as we use some methods to make Yun Ba, if someone were to challenge Yun Ba at this time, what do you think the result would be? Li Xiao said slowly. What do you mean, brotherly? Zuin Wuji hesitated. Li Xiao's words were very reasonable. Even the current city lord of Grand Emperor City, Zuin Wuji's father, Xin Wuming, had warned him not to provoke the residents of Yun. Although Yun Ba had not moved around the continent in recent years, he was like a sleeping lion. If he was forced into a corner, even Grand Emperor City would suffer countless casualties. No, I mean to use intelligence and not brute force. Li Xiao took out a crystal bottle and placed it in front of Yun Ba. This is... Zuin Wuji took the crystal bottle, opened it, and sniffed. The liquid inside was colorless and odorless. At first glance, it looked like ordinary water. This is one of my, Tang Yuan's, secret medicines. It is a slow-acting poison. As long as one takes this poison, no matter how powerful a martial artist is, as long as they are injured, their body will explode and they will die. Think about it. If Yun Ba dies, you can do whatever you want with the residents of Yun and Yun Songlong. Li Xiao's face was still gentle and refined. However, his words were the most vicious in the world. Ordinary doctors and apothecaries would not be able to discover this unique medicine. Once it entered the body, it would immediately invade the blood vessels and tendons. Even if someone discovered it, it would be very difficult to detoxify. Is this medicine really effective? Zuanwuji was still somewhat apprehensive. If you don't believe me, Brother Xian, you can try it. You only need to find someone Yunba trusts and secretly add this medicine into his daily diet. In less than a month, Yunba will become a cripple. At that time, you can ask Tian Kezi to challenge him. Li Xiao pushed the medicine in front of Zuanwuji. Zuanwuji thought for a moment. When he thought of Yun Songlong's high-spirited appearance, he could no longer hold back and kept the medicine bottle. In the purple gold mine, young master, we can't dig any further after digging to this point. This wall is really too hard. Zhou Quan and the others wiped the sweat off their foreheads. Each of them was as tired as a dog. They were just short of lying on the ground. A few days ago, he and more than 20 other hunters were gathered by young master. At that time, young master had seriously told them that he was going to give them a particularly difficult task. At that time, they were all excited, thinking that they were different from the rest and had been chosen by young master for a special task. Who would have thought that young master would lure them to the purple gold mine and make them dig up all the ore veins in the north of the mine like groundhogs? Later on, when they asked around, it turned out that their miserly young master Yun had said that it would cost money to hire miners. Since the hunting corps had limited funds, they might as well pick a few strong hunters to do the mining. Everyone had cried out in grief at that time. When they had heard that Grandmaster Zhongren had obtained half of the purple gold mine, the hunters of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps had rejoiced for a while. Everyone thought that they would be able to live a good life from now on. Later on, they found out that this mine was the leftover, or from Zhou State's army. There wasn't much purple gold or left in the north of the mine. They didn't know what the shrewd young master was planning to do this time. He had actually asked for such a waste mine. Fortunately, young Master Yun held a high position in the hearts of all the hunters. No one dared to disobey his orders. Zhou Quan's face was covered in dirt as he worked for a few days. Finally, he had dug out more than half of the mine. After digging, Zhou Quan realized that a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. They had dug out about 1,000 caddies of purple gold or from the waste mine. After refining it, they should be able to get a few 100,000 Empire purple gold coins. Who would have thought that when everyone continued to dig towards the north of the mine, they would encounter a strange wall? Chapter 335. After Zhou Quan and the rest told their young master about the situation, he stared at the wall and pondered for a long time. Have all of you tried? You can't even dig 3 feet into the ground? Yun Sheng looked at the hunters behind her, who were all sweating profusely. Yes, we have. Look at our shovels. We have changed a few pairs. I can guarantee that the stone of this wall is the hardest I have ever seen in my life. Zhou Quan was afraid that the young master would blame them for not doing things quickly, so he brought out the few pairs of shovels that had been dug out. Yun Sheng took a look. Without exception, every tool was broken. All right, that's all for today. You guys, prepare some food and water for me. I will be staying in the mine for 3 days. Remember, don't come in and disturb me if there is nothing important. Also, unless I look for you, don't pay attention to any movements in the mine. Yun Sheng waved her hand and sent a group of hunters out. Zhou Quan and the rest did not know what Yun Sheng's intention was, but what their young master said was the truth. No one dared to ask and obediently prepared the food and water, leaving Yun Sheng alone in the mine. The mine returned to silence. Yun Sheng sized up the wall. She had felt that this wall was unusual the last time, but unfortunately, she did not have the time to study it in detail. On the first day, Yun Sheng was in the mine, repeatedly experimenting with all kinds of magic. She used the 4 magical elements of wind, earth, water, and fire respectively. Whether it was burning with fire, piercing with water, blowing with wind, or piercing with earth, she tried every method. However, the wall in front of him was extremely stubborn, and no magical element could cause the wall to change in the slightest. On the second day, Yun Sheng changed her plan. Since magical elements did not work, she tried to use the second combat technique of combining with the puffed egg to try to break the wall with monstrous strength. But even after using 500 kilograms of monstrous strength, the wall still did not move. On the third day, Yun Sheng decided that if she still could not find a way to solve the secret of the wall, she would use a magic array to temporarily seal the wall. She would try again in the future when her cultivation level improved. Failed again. Yun Sheng dejectedly withdrew the power of the Jade Marrow technique. The Jade Marrow technique was her last trump card, but even the mysterious Jade Marrow technique had no effect on the wall. Looks like I can only give up. Yun Sheng had to collect her emotions. She turned and left to meet up with Zhou Quan and the rest. Just as she walked out of the mine, she noticed a large pile of gravel at the entrance of the mine. When Tang Yuan's mages and mysterious people found this mine, due to time constraints, they directly set up a thunderstorm magic array at the entrance of the mine. The thunderstorm had the magical elements of the thunderstorm was similar to a bomb in the modern sense. Explosion? Why not try the magic of lightning? Yun Sheng suddenly thought of her own profound magic. Because the power of the thunderstorm vortex was too astonishing, Yun Sheng could only use it a limited number of times. After she entered Wuxuan Everlasting Hall, she had never used this kind of magic again. Ordinary magic would not work. Perhaps under the effect of the water and fire magical elements, it could produce unexpected effects. Yun Sheng was wild with joy. She immediately turned around and rushed to the position of the wall. After walking around the wall, Yun Sheng used her hand to lightly hit the wall. Listening to the sound, she roughly identified the thickness of the wall, which was the weakest point. It's here. Yun Sheng first activated the Jade Marrow technique in her body. When the Jade Marrow technique came into effect, a jade-like, translucent light appeared on Yun Sheng's right palm. That was the power of the Jade Marrow technique. As long as she had this level of power, even water and fire magical elements would not be able to hurt Yun Sheng's palm. This was the safest method that Yun Sheng came up with after countless practice in the magic tower of the Royal Magic Academy. She immediately raised her magic scepter and chanted. When the two soul stones on the bone enchantment scepter lit up, two magical elements, one red and one blue, appeared on Yun Sheng's fair palms. The red one was the aggressive fire magical element. The blue one was the relatively gentle water magical element. Among the four natural magical elements, fire and water were two completely different elements. Most mages were unable to use and control these two magical elements at the same time. But Yun Sheng, who possessed 5 magical spirits, was an exception. Her 5 fingers moved quickly. Under the effect of her fingers, the red and blue magical elements were like countless flexible water plants, dancing. They were like small tadpoles, mixing with each other. When the water came into contact with the fire, only a pu-pu sound could be heard. The sound became more and more frequent. As Yun Sheng's fingers moved faster and faster, more and more of the fire and water magical elements merged together. There was a shocking repulsive force between the two magical elements. But under the effect of Yun Sheng's trillium hand, the repulsive force was dispelled by Yun Sheng's fingers once it was formed. From the initial repulsive force, they gradually merged and spun, gradually forming a spherical magic lightning vortex. Condensing an arcane magic lightning vortex consumed more than 50% of Yun Sheng's magical elements. Her forehead was covered with sweat. Raising her eyebrows, Yun Sheng secretly said in her heart, "Victory or defeat depends on this. Go. Arcane magic lightning vortex." When Yun Sheng's hand collided with the incomparably sturdy wall that had not been broken by any battle technique or magic, the wall did not budge at all. But as the arcane magic lightning vortex spun faster and faster, Yun Sheng injected more and more magical elements. A shocking scene happened. The wall began to tremble. At first, it was only trembling, but later on, the wall was stimulated into pieces of stone debris. It looked as if someone was using a drill bit and crazily drilling into the wall. There's hope. Yun Sheng was pleasantly surprised. But at this moment, she did not dare to relax. She kept replenishing the arcane magic lightning vortex in her hand while staring at the wall. Slowly, more and more debris flew out and smashed onto Yunsheng's face. But Yunsheng did not dodge. She excitedly watched the hole in the wall slowly expand. On the wall, cracks similar to tree roots appeared. Oh no, my magical power seems to be running out. Yunsheng could feel that the magical elements in her body were being consumed little by little. This feeling was stronger than any previous time. But Yunsheng was at a critical juncture now, and she could not stop to take meditation water to replenish her magical power. I'll go all out. No matter what, I'll blast open this wall first. Yunsheng gritted her teeth. No longer caring about the depletion of magical power, she clenched the magic scepter in her hand and injected the last of her magical power into the arcane magic lightning vortex. Just when Yunsheng thought that she couldn't hold on any longer, Yunsheng's eyes lit up. Bang! The wall that hadn't been opened by anyone for who knows how many years exploded. The moment the wall exploded, the entire mine began to shake. Chapter 336. Countless rocks came crashing down from the top of the mine. Behind her, the mine was rapidly collapsing. Yunsheng did not expect that this wall was actually the inner wall of the mine. At this moment, a large stone slab came crashing down from the top of her head. Yunsheng's strength was exhausted, and she did not have a trace of magic power in her body. She could not dodge it in time. Her vision turned black. Yunsheng only heard a beast-like roar, and then she did not know anything else. The moment the mine collapsed, the hunters stationed in the mine also heard the sound of the mine collapsing. Zhou Quan hurried over with a group of hunters. However, by the time they arrived, the mine had already completely collapsed. The entrance had already been destroyed. Not to mention a human, even a dog would have a hard time entering. Oh no, young master is still inside. Zhou Quan was shocked by this sudden turn of events. His expression immediately changed. He ordered people to clean up the cave immediately and sent people to inform Yun Songlong and the rest. When Yun Songlong arrived, it was already 2 to 3 hours later. What happened? Where's Shenger? Looking at the messy mine and the surroundings, Yun Songlong's expression changed greatly when he did not see Yunsheng's figure. Leader, we don't know either. This mine was still fine a few days ago. Young master was buried inside. Zhou Quan stuttered. Just as he finished speaking, Yun Songlong roared and rushed into the cave. Who knew that there was a figure who was even faster than him? That person grabbed Zhou Quan. What did you say? Yunsheng. She was buried inside the mine? Zhou Quan was dumbfounded. The man in front of him was handsome, and his entire person emitted a powerful aura. This aura was different from Yun Songlong's. There was a noble air in his aura. Duke Baiming? Zhou Quan stuttered. He recognized the man in front of him. He was Yi Baiming, who had accompanied Yunsheng to Luoxia City. He vaguely remembered that between Duke Baiming and young Master Yun, he seemed to be young Master Yun's retainer. Your Highness, please release him first. Zhou Quan, tell me, why is Yunsheng alone in the mine? Didn't you send someone to tell me earlier that the mine has been emptied? Yun Songlong was also very worried that Yunsheng was trapped in the mine, and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. However, he knew that the more it was like this, the more he couldn't lose his composure. On one hand, he ordered the hunters to immediately find tools and deploy manpower. On the other hand, he asked Zhou Quan in detail about the whole situation. Zhou Quan told Yunsheng about the discovery of the wall. Yunsheng insisted on staying in the cave alone for 3 days and 3 nights. A few days ago, everything was fine, but in the afternoon, a loud noise suddenly came from the mine. By the time they arrived, the cave had already collapsed. After hearing all of this, Yi Baiming's usually calm face had a hint of anxiety. How could something like this happen in just a few days? Yi Baiming couldn't help but blame himself. He should have rushed over earlier. If it weren't for the purple gold ore, he would have accompanied the little wild cat. She also wouldn't have stayed in the mine alone. The outside of the mine was already in ruins, and it was very likely that a small-scale collapse was occurring inside. It would be very dangerous to enter the mine at this time. Your Highness, your body is priceless. The situation in the mine is unknown, and it is very likely to be dangerous. Please go back first. Yun Songlong had just met Yi Baiming not long ago. He didn't even have time to ask why Yi Baiming would appear at the border. Yun Shang's accident made Yun Songlong extremely anxious. He commanded the hunters and planned to personally join the rescue team. I'll go with you. Yi Baiming rolled up his sleeves. Ignoring Yun Songlong's dissuasion, he started to move the boulder. The sky gradually darkened. 3 hours had passed since the mine collapsed. The hunters were still moving the boulder. There were countless boulders of various sizes that had collapsed in the mine. Some of the boulders even weighed more than 1,000 pounds. During this period, there were several aftershocks. Yi Baiming didn't care about his own safety. He carried the boulder like a madman. His hands were abraded in many places, but he still refused to stop. His silver-gray eyes flashed with a stubborn light. His actions made Yun Songlong couldn't help but look askance. His Highness and Shang'er, Yun Songlong seemed to see his past self in Yi Baiming. He sighed and no longer tried to dissuade him. Together with Yi Baiming, he moved the boulder one by one. When the hunters saw the dignified Lord Baiming and Yun Songlong working so hard, they didn't dare to be negligent. It wasn't until the moon set in the west, around dawn, that the boulder at the entrance of the mine was removed. A narrow passageway appeared in front of them. With Yi Baiming and Yun Songlong's height, they could only barely pass by climbing. Your Highness, let me go in first? Yun Songlong saw Yi Baiming walking in first and hurriedly stopped him. No, I want to be the first to find her. Yi Baiming bent down and went into the passageway. It was pitch black in front of them. Yi Baiming was the first, Zhou Quan was the second, and Yun Songlong was the last. In order to prevent another accident in the cave, Yun Songlong didn't let anyone else follow in. With only 3 people, the space seemed very narrow. Inside the mine, after a cave-in, the interior was gray and hazy. But Yi Baiming could already clearly see everything in the cave. Although Yi Baiming was very confident in his little wild cat, after seeing the situation in the mine, his heart couldn't help but tighten. His hands were stained with blood, but for the first time, he actually felt fear. He thought of Yun Shang's thin and weak body. She was only a magician. With so many boulders, did she still have a chance of surviving? No, she must still be alive. Again and again, he confirmed and denied. Zhou Quan, who was walking behind Yi Baiming, also faintly felt the hesitation of the man in front of him. Every step he took was very careful and heavy. He was worried that if he took another step forward, he would see a corpse that was smashed beyond recognition. Little wild cat, nothing can happen to you. It's in front. This young master is on that wall. Under Zhou Quan's guidance, Yi Baiming finally reached the end of the mine. The area in front of them opened up and the 3 people hurriedly stood up. How is this possible? There was clearly a wall here. Where did the wall go? This young master is also gone. Zhou Quan hurriedly ran forward and looked around. He was certain that this was the place where he and this young master had found the strange wall earlier. But now, there was nothing around. There were no corpses, no bloodstains. Other than the collapsed rocks around them, there was nothing here. Yi Baiming heaved a sigh of relief. But then, his gaze darkened and he picked up a piece of rock on the ground. Zhou Quan, look at that wall. Is it this kind of rock? Yi Baiming held a rock that was as sharp as a knife. Just by feeling it, Yi Baiming could confirm that this rock was very hard, comparable to any metal or on the continent. It's this kind. Hey, why is it broken? Could it be that this young master found a way to break this wall? But we tried all of them earlier, and no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't break that wall. Zhou Quan touched his head with a look of disbelief. Yi Baiming turned over the rock and narrowed his eyes. The back of the rock was actually emitting a strong magical wave. Chapter 337. Yi Baiming clenched the stone. This is not only a wall, but also a magic array. Magic array? How can there be a magic array in the mine? Where did Shang'er go? After discovering that Yun Shang was not dead, Yun Songlong was relieved. But when he heard that Yun Shang had triggered a magic array and her whereabouts were unknown, his heart was raised again. If I'm not wrong, this is a space-time magic array. The magic array has existed for a long time. Little Wildcat triggered the magic array. At this moment, I'm afraid she has already been transported to an unknown magic space. Yi Baiming held the stone tightly. The sharp stone pierced his skin and fresh blood dripped down. Little Wildcat, where are you now? Yi Baiming's eyes turned cold, and he repeated in his heart again and again. Somewhere. Pain. Her whole body hurts. After an unknown amount of time, Yun Shang woke up under the double encirclement of pain and hunger. The moment she woke up, Yun Shang felt pain all over her body, as if she had been crushed. She discovered that there was a layer of small blisters on her hands, feet, and body. The cause of these small blisters was the environment she was in at this moment. Yun Shang quickly realized that she was no longer in the mine. She recalled the moment before she fell into a coma. The wall shattered, and then the entire mine collapsed. Just at the moment of the collapse, she seemed to have seen something behind the wall. What was it? A thought flashed through her mind. Magic array. She saw a magic array. It was very similar to the magic array she saw in the transportation area of the mine earlier. It was also a magic array that exuded a space-time magic aura. It was also this magic array that allowed her to luckily escape the collapse of the cave and the misfortune of being crushed to death by the boulder. But it was also this magic array that brought her to this unfamiliar area. Yun Shang composed herself and first looked at her body. Fortunately, other than the blisters on her body, there were no major injuries. However, due to the blisters, her original appearance was almost disfigured. She looked like a toad now. Yun Shang didn't care much about it. If she could leave this place, she had plenty of ways to restore her appearance. However, if she couldn't leave this damned place where not even a ghost could be seen, it didn't matter if she restored her appearance or not. After confirming that she wasn't seriously injured, Yun Shang looked at her clothes and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Due to the high temperature, she realized that most of the clothes on her body had been burned away. Only a few pitiful pieces of cloth were left, covering her vital parts. Yun Shang's attire at this moment was comparable to that of a primitive man. The only fortunate thing was that the Shen Nong medical bracelet, the beast language ring, and the magic scepter were still intact. Fortunately, there was no one else around. Yun Shang was embarrassed. She wanted to take out new clothes from her storage ring to change into, but when she looked, she found that everything in her storage ring had been burned to ashes. Even the first few limitless purple gold cards were not spared. All the food and herbs were burned. What the hell is this place? The heat here was actually able to pass through the beast language ring and melt the supplies in it. This was the first time Yun Shang encountered such a situation. After discovering the situation with the beast language ring, Yun Shang was even more suspicious. Licking her dry lips, Yun Shang thought to herself that the most important thing now was to find food and water. Yun Shang secretly tested it and realized that in such an environment, other than the fire element, her other major magic elements were so weak that they were almost non-existent. However, there was still some dark element left. Yun Shang felt a burning sensation under her feet. She activated the Jade Marrow technique. The Jade Marrow technique was originally a Taoist breathing technique. It had a calming effect to a certain extent. After adjusting her breathing, Yun Shang felt that the ground under her feet wasn't as hot as before. She then walked forward slowly. Gudong gudong gudong. The sound of boiling bubbles bursting could be heard. Liquid like lava flowed in the ditches on both sides. Streaks of unknown flames rushed out. Yun Shang had only walked for a while when she realized that the environment she was in was very harsh. After walking for such a long time, she didn't even find any plants or weeds, let alone animals. The environment here was even harsher than the desert. Yun Shang felt as if she had arrived at the mouth of an underground volcano. Other than lava and all kinds of dark flames, she didn't find anything else. If she continued walking like this, even if she didn't starve to death, she would die of thirst. She didn't know how long it had been since the cave collapsed. Yun Shang could imagine that at this moment, Second Uncle and Zhou Quan must be very worried about her. If she didn't go back quickly, everyone would go crazy. It was all her fault for being too confident in her own abilities and being blindly impulsive. This resulted in such an outcome. Yunshang couldn't help but blame herself. The water in her body was slowly sucked dry by the scorching environment. Yunshang still didn't find anything. There was no water, no food, no life. In this mysterious magical space, there was always bubbling lava and spewing flames. The roads here were winding and twisting. There were so many forks that one couldn't recognize them. After a long time, Yunshang slowly started to hallucinate. Relying on her remaining willpower, Yunshang walked forward step by step, hoping that she could find the exit at the next step. But countless times, she was disappointed. Am I going to die here? Yunshang smiled bitterly. She was not willing to accept this. The Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps had just been formed, and the problem of the medical hall's herbs had not been solved. Father, second uncle, hunting corps, Night Fox. When Yi Baiming's name appeared in Yunshang's mind, she suddenly felt a strange fluctuation in the Dharma soul in her body. Little wild cat. A voice suddenly appeared in her mind. Was it a hallucination? At this time, how could she hear Night Fox's voice? At this time, he should be in the Jade Capital, being a free and unfettered prince. Yunshang shook her head. It must be the lack of water and her overly tense nerves that gave her the illusion that she was in a desert. She was hallucinating. Little wild cat, do you hear me? In Yunshang's mind, this voice clearly appeared again. Night Fox? It's really you. Just like seeing an oasis in the desert, Yunshang's originally drowsy mind immediately woke up after confirming that she heard that voice. But why would Yi Baiming's voice appear in her mind? Yunshang looked around and didn't see Yi Baiming's figure. This was the first time she wished to see Yi Baiming so much. In this monotonous and despairing environment, she desperately needed someone to accompany her. Even if it was just a voice, it would be fine. You stupid girl. You. Yi Baiming's voice was filled with excitement and anger, but more than that, it was joy. Chapter 338. In fact, after he successfully resonated with Yunshang's consciousness, Yi Baiming was overjoyed. He felt as if he had found a treasure and his heart ached. Why are you resonating with my thoughts? Yunshang was still a little confused. Because of our Dharma souls. We once cultivated magic together and our Dharma souls come from the same body. As long as our consciousness resonates, we can sense each other's existence. Yi Baiming's tone was still reproachful. Then can you see where I am right now? So it was because of the Dharma soul again. Yunshang couldn't help but feel like she was being peeped at. I can roughly see it. Yi Baiming coughed softly. He could see where Yunshang was and her current sorry state. Yunshang lowered her head and looked at her almost exposed body. Her face flushed red. On the other side of the mine, Yun Songlong, who was with Yi Baiming, also saw Lord Baiming suddenly cough violently. His handsome face was suspiciously red. Your Highness, you said just now that you have a way to find Shang-Er's whereabouts? Is that true? Yun Songlong had almost dug 3 feet into the ground to find Yunshang these days. However, Yunshang had completely disappeared. This made Yun Songlong almost go crazy. Yi Baiming was also very alarmed. However, this morning, he informed him that it was very likely that he could find Yunshang. Little wild kitten is safe for the time being. Yi Baiming's heart also eased a lot. That's good. How is her situation now? Yun Songlong treated Yunshang as if she was his own daughter. Although his niece was still young, she had already become the backbone of Yun Songlong and the Heavenly Expedition Hunting Corps in the past 6 months. Yi Baiming coughed and thought of Little Wildcat's current situation. Just now, her face was full of anger and she looked like a bun. He could not help but smile warmly. He rarely saw Yunshang so flustered and exasperated. In his impression, Little Wild Kitten was always overly calm. Now, it seemed that she was very cute when he saw her sullen expression occasionally. She's fine. It's just that her situation is a little bad. Yi Baiming didn't say anything else. He focused and connected with Yun Shang's thoughts again. Although their Dharma souls were inextricably linked, Yi Baiming wasn't sure that their thoughts could be 100% in sync. He tried dozens of times before he finally connected with Yun Shang. In this world, only Yun Shang and Yi Baiming could do this kind of special connection between their Dharma souls. However, this kind of connection couldn't be maintained all the time. Usually, they could only communicate for about 15 minutes each time, and only once or twice a day. You're not allowed to see what you shouldn't see. Tell second uncle not to be anxious. I will definitely find the way back. I will continue to move forward. I will contact you when I need to. Yun Shang warned Yi Baiming. Yi Baiming touched his nose helplessly. This wasn't what he wanted to see. Are you sure where you are now? Yi Baiming stopped joking. He could also see that although Yun Shang wasn't injured, her situation was very bad. Yun Shang had already told Yi Baiming about the items in her storage ring being burned. Even the items in her storage ring could be burned. One could imagine how bad the environment was. With Yun Shang's knowledge of modern geography, she even suspected that she was now thousands of meters underground in the boundless land. It seems to be underground, or at the mouth of a volcano. I seem to have sensed a different wave of magical elements. Let's not talk about it for now. Remember to take care of my second uncle and the people from the Heaven Hunting Corps for me. Pay attention to Xian Wuji's movements in the Grand Supreme City. Yun Shang didn't know how long she had walked, but she felt that the surrounding environment seemed to have cooled down. She hurriedly bade farewell to Yi Baiming and walked forward quickly. Why is there a lotus pond in this place? Yun Shang had been searching for a long time, and her stomach was already rumbling with hunger. She didn't expect that there would be an unusually beautiful lotus pond in this scorching magical space that she suspected to be devoid of living things. In the lotus pond, there was boiling hot lava. Yun Shang kicked a rock down. The hard rock fell, but before it could fall into the pond, it was burned to ashes by the scorching heat. The lava in this lotus pond seemed to be even hotter than the lava and flames that she had encountered along the way. The scorching environment did not affect the growth of the lotus flowers in the lotus pond at all. It was just that what grew in the lotus pond were not ordinary green lotus leaves. The color of the lotus leaves and stems was also fiery red like the lava here. There were about a dozen lotus flowers in the middle of the lotus pond. Most of the lotus flowers only had a few leaves, and there was only one lotus bud that was half open. The petals of the lotus bud were as bright as rouge and emitted a natural fragrance. However, it was also because of this lotus pond that the surrounding temperature dropped significantly. Looking at the plump and tender lotus leaves, Yun Shang's stomach, which was so hungry that it twitched violently. I don't know if it's poisonous, but it's better to be poisoned to death than to starve to death. Yun Shang swallowed her saliva and looked at the boiling lava. She mobilized the remaining wind magical elements in her body and aimed at the nearest lotus leaf. With a slash of the wind blade, the lotus leaf immediately broke out of the water and fell to the bottom of the water, bringing out a white and tender lotus root. After pulling out the lotus root, Yun Shang took a few steps back and started chewing on the lotus root without caring about whether it was dirty or not. When the lotus root entered her mouth, a sweet and refreshing juice that she had never experienced before flowed out instantly. Yun Shang's dry and bitter mouth was immediately filled with sweetness. Yun Shang felt the lotus root juice moisturizing every pore and hair on her body, and she couldn't help but click her tongue. In a few bites, Yun Shang finished the tender lotus root that was as thick as an arm. Once the tender lotus root entered her stomach, not only was she full, even the scorching heat disappeared. This tender lotus root could obviously resist the scorching heat here. Not only that, when Yun Shang secretly mobilized the magical elements in her body again, she realized that the magical elements that were almost depleted in her body were actually replenished in an instant. Even the magical elements that were suppressed earlier were vigorous. The most terrifying thing was that she actually realized that the Dharma soul in her body had increased by a full circle. It seemed that it was about to break through again. What grade of plant is this exactly? Yun Sheng only knew that the lotus roots in the pond in front of her were actually rare treasures. Based on her experience as a doctor, even if the grade of the lotus roots here could not be compared to the previous 9-leaf divine grade sage ginseng, it was at least a sacred grade or half divine grade herb. Moreover, there were more than 10 lotus roots in this pond. If she could bring back the lotus roots in this pond or cultivate them in the boundless land, the value would be even more shocking. Chapter 339. It's a pity that I can't even find a way to leave this godforsaken place. I'm afraid I can only use this pond of lotus roots as food to appease my hunger, Yun Sheng lamented. Her gaze landed on the only stalk of flower in the pond. She could faintly see the outline of a lotus seed. Yun Sheng's heart skipped a beat. Lotus seed. If she could wait until the lotus seed matured and harvest the lotus seed inside, wouldn't that be enough? Yun Sheng quickly made a decision. Hence, she did not walk forward blindly. Instead, she sat cross-legged on the spot and slowly digested the miraculous effects of the lotus roots in her body. At the same time, she waited for the lotus seed to mature. Time passed by slowly. There was no distinction between day and night in this mysterious space. According to the agreement between Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming, the two of them contacted each other once a day. Yun Sheng could roughly deduce that she had already spent 5 days in the magical space. The lotus in the pond had also gradually bloomed from its initial bud. The lotus seed inside had also grown quite a bit. Yun Sheng pondered. In another 1 or 2 days, the lotus seed would mature. In these few days, she ate another stalk of lotus root. However, compared to the first time, she realized that the lotus root's effects were almost non-existent. It seemed that this miraculous herb could only be consumed once. However, on the day before the lotus seed matured, Yun Sheng had just finished her meditation when she heard a series of footsteps in the quiet mountain path. There's someone? Yun Sheng did not expect that there would be someone in such a desolate place. The footsteps got closer and closer. From the sound of the footsteps, Yun Sheng could determine that there were about 2 people. As she walked closer, she heard a crafty female voice. Brother Bupo, if you dare to leave me behind again, I will definitely tell Uncle Yuan and Aunt Yuan when I return to Grand Emperor City. Aren't you annoying? You're like a fly circling around me all day long. Why don't you follow Xin Wuji to Jade Capital? An impatient male voice sounded. Yun Sheng recognized the voices of the 2 people. They were Yuan Bupo and Xin Mimi from Grand Emperor City. How did he meet them? Yun Sheng couldn't help but frown. Did Xin Mimi just say that Xin Wuji was going to the Jade Capital? Although Yun Songlong was still at the border because of her, Yun Sheng did not know why, but she felt a sense of unease. She was alone now. If the 2 of them joined forces, she would definitely not be a match for them. Fortunately, the blisters on her face had not healed yet. Coupled with her disheveled appearance, even if the 2 of them met her, they would not be able to recognize her. Yun Sheng simply stood up and walked out. After taking a few steps, he saw a man and a woman. It was Yuan Bupo and Xin Mimi. Both of them didn't expect to meet a living person in such a place, so they were both shocked when they saw Yun Sheng. Why was there someone here? Who are you? Xin Mimi noticed that Yun Sheng was carrying a magic scepter. She immediately became alert. This place was very secluded. Even for them, it took a Herculean effort to reach this place. Mimi, don't be rash. Yuan Bupo was much calmer than Xin Mimi. He held Xin Mimi down. The 2 of them carefully sized up Yun Sheng. Xin Mimi saw Yun Sheng's naked body and then looked at her ugly face. Joy flashed across her face. If the girl in front of her was beautiful, she might have killed her immediately. However, she was an ugly girl. This made Xin Mimi very satisfied. Although Yuan Bupo stopped Xin Mimi, he was still very wary of Yun Sheng. This time, he came to the mysterious geocentric ancient smelt cave. It was a secret. As soon as he saw it, his face flashed with embarrassment, and he turned his head away awkwardly. It turned out that Yun Sheng's clothes were burnt into charcoal in the scorching environment. Apart from her face, the blisters on Yun Shang's skin had disappeared because she used the tender lotus root. Her skin looked crystal clear. Her figure was also very slim. Although her appearance was a little scary, her healthy figure gave Yuan Bupo a strange feeling. He felt a heat in his abdomen and did not know where to look.
Shameless.
Xin Mimi was glad that Yun Shang was ugly. At the same time, she also noticed that this female sorcerer's skin was unbelievably good. Moreover, when she got closer, she could smell a clear fragrance from her body. This fragrance was a special fragrance that was produced when Yun Shang ate the tender lotus root these few days. Yuan Bupo and Xin Mimi obviously came prepared. Their clothes seemed to be made of a special beast's skin. In such an environment, they were still intact. "Miss, you should wear my clothes first." Although Yuan Bupo did not know who she was, he still took off his clothes and passed them to Yun Shang. "Bupo, why are you giving her the icicle toad clothes? You spent a lot of effort to kill those icicle toads and made them from their skin." Xin Mimi raised her eyebrows and glared at Yun Shang when she saw it. Yuan Bupo was usually cold to people. Why would he be so nice to an ugly girl whom he met for the first time? This made Xin Mimi even more furious. Yuan Bupo had been preparing for a few years to enter the geocentric ancient smelt cave. In order to resist the heat wave underground, he went to the dangerous Ice Peak Island and killed a few level 7 icicle toads. Icicle toads were powerful magic beasts that were proficient in water magic. Although they were small, the icicles that they shot out could freeze a person instantly. At that time, Yuan Bupo was on the brink of death to obtain enough icicle toads to make this set of clothes. Who knew that he would give it to someone else? "It's just a set of clothes. Aren't you annoying? You're even more nosy than my mother. If you make any more noise, I'll throw you out," Yuan Bupo said angrily. He was really unlucky. When he left the Grand Emperor city this time, he did everything he could to get rid of Xin Mimi. Who knew that she would still pester him? If she did not make a fuss along the way, complaining about being tired and thirsty, he would not have wasted so much time rushing here. Yun Shang did not refuse. It was awkward for her to walk around in front of people like this. The clothes made of icicle toad skin were very soft. Yuan Bupo was about the same size as Yi Baiming. A set of clothes was enough for Yun Shang to wear as a dress. The loose clothes hung on Yun Shang's body. It made her skin look like jade and her legs look slender. She had an indescribable charm. Yuan Bupo felt hot in his throat as he looked at her. "Vixen." Xin Mimi stared at Yun Shang and scolded her angrily. It could be seen that although the eldest daughter of the Grand Emperor city was unruly, she did not have any temper with Yuan Bupo. She was really afraid that Yuan Bupo would throw her out in anger. It was not easy for her to find out from her father that Yuan Bupo was leaving the Grand Emperor city for the geocentric ancient smelt cave. Her jade-bone mermaid robe, which was immune to fire magic elements, was something that her mother had put in a lot of good words for. "Miss, who are you? Why are you in the geocentric ancient smelt cave?" Yuan Bupo looked at the magic scepter on Yun Shang's waist. "You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.